right.
Good evening and welcome. This is the Public Art Select Committee meeting of Wednesday, the 1st of May. Yes. It's May the 1st today. Be with you. And I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Squamish people. And we have an action-packed agenda tonight, and we've made some adjustments. So the agenda before you is going to be amended. We'll be adding a presentation from Malcolm Elementary School, or Malcolm Elementary School project. Squamish Arts Committee Art Camp presentation.
Can we have numbers for those, John? Where do we fit them in? Delegations. Under business? Is it under business?
Can you just roll with me and,
Okay.
and trust that it will fit somewhere? And I'm a little bit making it up on the fly. Okay, well, if you insist.
No,
So,
it doesn't matter.
Macro presentation will be delegation number 1. The Squamish Art Committee Art Camp will be delegation number 2.
Oh.
And then I'd like to have the Solterra item under business, and you can put that as VI. And I'm also adding under business number 1. Actually, so everything under that will reorder and renumber. Number 1 will be House Sound Secondary Project presentation from Angela. And we do have a few people here tonight who have time constraints, so I'll be looking to move efficiently through the first couple of items for sure. So we need a motion that the May 1st, 2019 Public Arts Select Committee as amended agenda be adopted. Yes, Debbie.
Would you like to consider striking
Oh, yes.
item 4
That's
or what was previously?
one more amendment. What you see on your agenda as number 4 under business, public art grant application structure review, we will defer that to next month in light of all of the delegations.
And if we're short of time, I'd have Mr. Terra think we could work that next time.
Okay, good to know. Great. Well, we'll keep it on the agenda for now, and if we do find ourselves with time challenges, we can reassess. So, moved by Meg Fellows, seconded by Catherine Atkinson. All those in favor of the amended agenda? Unanimous. Thank you. So, item number 1, the Public Art Select Committee minutes from April 3rd, our meeting last month. And the recommendation is that the minutes from the Public Art Select Committee meeting held April 3rd be adopted.
So moved.
Moved by Meg, seconded by Anna. And is there any discussion out of those minutes? No, good. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Unanimous, passed. Thank you. So that takes us then to delegations and petitions. And item number 1 is a presentation that will be led by Catherine Atkinson. And we're inviting Shauna Wagner to join us, and she's a teacher at Malcolm Elementary School.
Hi, thanks for
Shauna,
having me.
welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. So Shauna contacted me about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And has hired me to work on a large project with kindergarten and grade 1 students at Mount Clam to create stepping stones using these pavers from Home Depot. And the kids are made their own drawings. So I'd like maybe Shauna can say what they've done so far very quickly.
Sure. So our main goal was just to kind of extend our playground area and give it a little bit more diversity. And we are an arts and fusion school, so we really wanted to bring the arts in and create the arts within. So we made an idea that we were creating basically a big spiral with mosaics, but looking at Squamish culture, ways of knowing, being, and doing. So we've spent a lot of time looking at Squamish, who we are, what we're connected to in Squamish, and so the children have created images. We went on some field trips. They've all got images that they're connected to, and they're now drawing them so that we can replicate them onto a mosaic stone, which then we're putting into our playground. So it's kind of a great, because we have a couple phases going on with our big goals and little goals. We've got new picnic tables coming in. So we have the Squamish garden right there, and then behind it we're going to have this huge spiral of mosaics that are going to lead to a trail that's a sensory playground. So that's our big goal. This is our first phase of it, and it's really connected to Squamish. The kids are really connected to
And
it. So.
I felt that I could bring this forward because this space, so it's right in the field, the large play field that people can see from the highway and across from the shopping mall.
And Squamish Can is very involved with our community garden. It's right there, so we have a lot of public access through that already.
So there's a lot of public access through that. There are sporting practices and events. It's a good spot, and I think that with the picnic tables, nobody's going to be taking them in at night and on weekends, so it's going to be a kind of a public space in that sense too.
For sure.
So I felt that it was comparable to some of the other sort of school-connected projects that we've already done, like crosswalks and things like that, so I thought I would put it forward. So today, the project, we estimated to be sort of around $1,300 or so, $1,500.
Yeah, we've got it about $1,500.
And I'm requesting just a percentage, like about half of that, so about $600. So it's primarily, so we're going to be the kids aren't going to have to lift heavy paving stones like this. That's going to be my job. What we're going to do is they've already created these drawings, and we met ahead and talked about how you have to simplify a drawing. It's not like painting when you're making a mosaic. And so they've created some really lovely eagles and mountains and bikes and fish and have sound and stuff
Salmon
like
and
that.
totem poles, and
totem poles.
We've got so many great, amazing
And
images.
several kids are working on together, and and I'll be working with them over the course of a week in about 2 weeks now, and we'll be doing one class a day, so that it's all kind of managed. So essentially, what you would do is have a drawing, like pretend this is a drawing, and you put a piece of plastic over it, and then which is sticky, and then you put your pieces down upside down, and then so that the drawing is sort of backwards. And then you lift up the plastic and the pieces will stay in place. Then I will cement these, pop them in the middle, let the thing dry and harden so that the cement is cement, and then you just peel it off. And it's really cool. So this is sort of specialized equipment. I've ordered some special sized tile pieces. So this is unglazed porcelain. So there are questions about safety and things like that. We'll be using some glazed and some unglazed, so that if people are walking on it in wet weather, it shouldn't be that slick. I think I've had that conversation before, just talking about the mosaic across the street. We are working with smaller pieces, and they will be purchased special so that the kids could use them without needing to cut them, so they won't be sharp. So it's a little bit more expensive. It's super exciting. A bit about me, I've been a mosaicist on and off for 20 years, and I picked it up again in a bigger way like about 3 years ago now. I've been in a few shows. I've won one award for it. And this is probably the largest project I've done to date, and I'm really excited about it. Talked to the class on Monday.
They're so excited.
Yeah.
We're so excited.
It's a lot of fun. And as Meg can tell you from first-hand experience, these things are very durable. So talk about durability and maintenance. The nice thing about this is if any of them get damaged, they can be taken out individually. I know how to replace, and I'm not going anywhere, so we can always have that conversation about maintenance. But the main thing is just to keep them clean, brushed. This one I made for sort of a class I was running through Squamish Arts Council last summer, and I put stones and things like that. But it's going to be these are going to be flat pictures, basically.
So there'll be no relief on them?
Yeah, no texture per se.
And we actually, in our design plan, we have it as a spiral, but we have different height elements. So we're putting in some different features in between the mosaics, so that the kids can kind of climb around them and look at them and be with them, and as a trail to go. So the idea is that it's a bit more sensory.
Yeah, but it's not a thing of getting from A to B. It's not going to be a public pathway.
Yeah, it's not it's more just an art feature.
Yeah, and so this is one of my pieces too. This is like a mosaic, a Roman mosaic copy. So I've worked with a lot of different types of material, and I've been trying to move more towards sort of monumental outdoor pieces, and this is going to be a lot of fun. What else? Sorry, I'll just try and sum up here. the place is total public access. We will have to dig the holes for these pieces to go into and sort of create a drainage for it with rocks and sand. I think the maintenance costs are generally minimal. You just have to kind of keep an eye on it. If it was suddenly -20 here for an extended period, then we might want to even, I mean, these can be even taken inside if people are worrying about the damage. But I think that the kids working on these now will be grown-ups before that's a problem. And that's the nice thing about this art form. And let's see what else. Environmental, no serious environmental concerns other than the fact that it'll be, cement is toxic, but I'm the one who's using it. And, well, and I know how. And I apologize for not giving you a site plan. But I can send you before and after photos. I'm happy to send you a before photo now, like this week or whenever. But it's right. It's quite close to the school, but it's in the open field.
Will you talk briefly about timelines?
Timelines, yes. Okay, so this project is going ahead, whether you are able to support us today or not. And the kids, we're in the middle of it, I would say. So the kids have been on their field trip already.
Yeah, we've done a couple of field trips.
And they spent 2 weeks at school making their designs.
So we've been playing with different materials to
Yes.
create and fill space.
And so we're ready to go. We're just waiting for some things to arrive that haven't arrived yet, mainly the tiles, because they have to be ordered in from out of town. And we were hoping to do it next week, but we've had to bump it a week because and parents are helping us on the day in each class too. So,
And then our main goal is to have it actually put in and installed, the first phase of installment for the 1st and 2nd weeks of June.
yeah.
So we want this done by the school year. We want those kids connected to the space and it ready for the summer.
That's
and then
right.
the stepping stones, the wood pieces that will go in during the summer, kind of in between it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions? Jackie?
So, could you send it, I'm just trying to understand the concept. You talk about kids walking in and out of it or moving in and out of it. What else is there in the concept?
So right now, do we have the original plan that we sent you? So right now we have, there's the school, then we have the playground, and then we have all the garden beds, which is part of the Squamish can, and then we have the greenhouse. So, and then we have a whole huge massive field. So right now we have our first phase, which is our picnic tables, coming right behind the planters, the garden boxes, and in behind the picnic tables we have created a design of a spiral of mosaic. So we've actually done the Fibonacci pattern.
the
So we're
Fibonacci
doing
series,
one and then one wood piece to climb on, 2, another wood piece, 3. So the pattern is going to be the Fibonacci
You're welcome.
pattern.
You've put it up.
Over back.
okay.
So yeah, so
Big
if you
ones.
kind of look where those spiral those are, right there, those are our garden beds right now. Right into the grass area, we've just installed picnic tables, and right in behind there is going to be the big spiral art mosaic piece, which is then going to lead, because you can't even actually see now, there is actually a greenhouse there now, which isn't in this picture. So, and then that spiral will lead to a path that goes in behind the greenhouse with a future, we're hoping to do more of a sound sensory piece. That's a kind of our phase 2.
And outside of school, I think it'll get a lot of activity, a lot of
So
soccer practices going on.
And you can't see right there, but the overpass is right there. So it's a very public use place, because most people, they don't go in front of the school when they cross the overpass. They actually go in behind the school. It's a safer, there's no sidewalk in front, which, can you believe it? So they usually use the path behind the school quite often to go in through, to go to all the other units that are inside. So it is a very, very well-used site.
Oh, okay.
And then there is the baseball field. I don't know how often that's used. There's also a soccer field. And so it's quite a very public space. I go on the
So
weekends
it
to
is
work,
public.
and there's
That was-
always
yes.
people. There's
Yeah.
always people there. Even when I go into school on the weekends and work, there's groups and
And I
groups of people
suspect
hanging out.
that doing this will make it more attractive for people to use the space.
Just even the picnic tables.
So we'll
Yeah.
be mapping this into our beautiful map of all art, public art.
Absolutely,
Okay.
we would love that.
And my other question, and thank you for
Did that help?
It did, because my question was, it's a school, and school playgrounds tend to be closed to the public for school safety.
Yeah.
So having people access that would not make sense.
So
But if it's used for other purposes,
Yeah.
as you've said,
Yeah.
then that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it is open to the public.
it is absolutely open to the public. I
Yeah.
think like, during school hours, there's a little bit more monitored who's coming through
Yeah.
the field, obviously.
Fair.
But because we have Squamish Can and the greenhouse and the garden beds,
Yeah.
there's constantly plant sales. There's always people in there working the gardens because it is a public Squamish Can.
And local residents use the
Are you
space.
gonna get media coverage on that, or are you gonna sort of like open it, and talk about the kids? get to
We'd
talk
love
about
that. Would somebody help me do that? I would love to do that. So I think that I'd highlight that for sure once it's done. Get some
And I'll
photos,
certainly-
highlight the chief, things like
And I
that.
was
Yeah.
saying just before we started, I'd certainly be happy to, for what it's worth, social media the heck out of it, which is
Yeah.
what I do.
Because I think it's important that the kids get to tell their story,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of work obviously gone into this, a lot of thought, and I love that kids are blending math, the Fibonacci series, with art. It's
Yes.
fabulous. I love it, and I'm glad you're doing it. Thank
No,
you.
we're so excited. The kids are so excited.
So,
They're ready to
there was-
build.
My only other concern is if it's a playing field, will people be tromping on it in
No.
terms of
So-
sports?
So we actually, because it is school, education property, we had to send an asking of what we could do, and
Oh,
they
okay.
said yes already. So the space that we're looking at isn't used as like a soccer or baseball. So if it's quite a large field, so that the two games are played quite far behind, and it's more just connected to the picnic tables, the garden space, and extending just our usable space in the playground, as opposed to encroaching onto baseball or soccer. There's still a lot of field there.
And I can make photos available of the process and the working with the kids and everything else before and after. I'm quite comfortable doing that. So.
Those are all my questions.
Good. All right, Anna has
I'm
a
good.
question, then, oh, you good?
Yeah.
Yours got
My
answered?
question was answered.
Sydney?
Okay. You guys mentioned in terms of maintenance costs that you would just need to keep an eye on. Do you mean that the committee would or the school would keep an eye on it?
Because we have, just to explain quickly, we have to keep an eye on our public art.
Okay.
Because I think that the school would definitely be.
We would definitely be connected
Yeah.
and watching it, partly for a safety piece just alone, that
Yes.
would be important. Our maintenance we have to kind of follow maintenance as well, so like making sure that there's nothing, we're actually using stones in between all we're getting rid of all the grass, so there's no mowing or anything more work for maintenance, but we would be highlighted right away, and either the maintenance of the building would be, or we would be involved in keeping it up, because that's part of our, if we asked to do this project and got permission, would be part of that, and that I would assume I'd be like, hey Catherine, can you come help me fix this one piece that was broken? Like
Yeah,
all three of the teachers that are involved are continuing teachers that are there. I plan not to leave any time, and out of the three of us, we'd be taking care of it.
Yeah, to certainly make sure that the school has.
But the
the
school would, I
information
think
to
that the school, like
care.
I would be.
If there was some
and we could
serious
break that
damage to it, that we'd have to approach the committee for repairs. I think they approached me having their own budget in place ahead of time, and it seems that sort of thing is possible. To make a repair on something like this is under $100.
Yeah, I feel like they're pretty durable, like the way that
Yeah.
we've planned
And
it.
anybody's welcome to check this out afterwards or whenever to see how durable it is. And it's made in a similar way. I laid into the concrete, it's not grouted. And so anyway, talk techniques till the cows come home, and feel free to ask.
Great. Sydney, any follow-up? Peter?
By the way, it seems really cool, love it.
Thanks.
I also like the idea of the interactive piece, that's the bit I get passionate about, where people can touch
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah, well, that's actually was one of our main goals, because our little people
Especially
need that.
Yeah.
People have so much fun.
My questions are more about actually applications, if this comes forward for a school again.
Yeah.
Did this What's the process on your side first on funding for projects, and is this a private, sorry, apologies, I don't know, is it a private school or is this a public
Okay, so
school?
Matwychuk is a public school.
Public
We have goals as an arts infusion school. So one of the main goals, we are trying to infuse arts, and the way that we see that is that we learn through the arts. Like, so as much as possible, we are as a school working on trying to do that, and it's a process. But the way that we're being funded right now through this project is from the PAC. So the PAC had originally had quite a budget, and they were going to be building an intermediate playground, a second playground. PACs are no longer allowed to build playgrounds. The government's supposed to do it. A whole bunch of bureaucracy there. I don't know how you call it, what you say, but that's not happening. So there's a little bit of money, and they really wanted to support the arts infusion piece. So the way that they opened it up is that we as teachers had to apply with a certain amount of money. So my colleague and myself had a great idea. We wrote it down. We applied to the PAC and the administration, and they either accepted or denied your request. We were accepted, and so that the PAC currently is funding our project, but of course that's hard-earned money from popcorn sales and hot lunches and stuff, so any amount that comes in helps because it goes to other things that the school could be doing. Like we have a dance instructor coming in right now, things like that. It's mostly PAC, but it is all public. It's public school, anybody can come, and it's all just a lot of the money is basically fundraised money for this project.
And it's currently the French immersion school in town.
No, it's not.
No, it's not?
We're not
Oh,
French immersion.
sorry.
That's okay. It used to be, but it's not anymore. It's straight English.
Yeah,
We're K to 6, and we're full.
Thanks for helping. And then
Yeah.
my second question was really just to bring back to the committee, which you brought up just then, and it was back to my point when Stan did his presentation. Do we as a district have a photographer on board? Because I know you were just mentioning that you could take some photos, but I thought if we're going to do bring pieces which we fund and then we stick on the map, if at some point we start using social media and outreach, then getting really high quality pictures would be very good. So if we get a budget, say for example, this is the thing on your request, it's 400 to 600, say for example, argument's sake, it's 400 for materials teaching, and then 200, whatever that number is, for a photographer or somebody who, so we know that
Their quality.
like they are, and they're standardized all the time, so.
Catherine,
I have a postgraduate diploma in photojournalism. I'm totally good.
We're in
with
good
this.
hands.
I mean, you could hire me if you want.
Yeah.
I'm available.
That would be amazing because that's like it's always those tying in those pieces.
Yeah.
Like we always
Sure.
want them tied in. That would be incredible.
And this was not so much really to this application, it's just for us to think about the future, because I was
Yeah,
like,
for
if
sure.
we,
I think it's a good
I
idea.
have in my head when I do a budget, say for an event or something like that, it's like 20% of marketing, for example, and so like if we're like, oh, this is the ask, it's just something.
yeah, that's the big picture. So let's
when that number comes up for this one.
absolutely. Meg?
I think it's a great project. I
Thank
really
you.
like it. But my question is through to staff. Does this fit with our public space definition of what we're actually doing here?
That's a good question. Can we come back to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
May I excuse
can I have a
myself for-
stab at it?
Yeah, I was gonna go
I mean,
grab a
simple
policy.
answer from my perspective is yes. This is students, it's a school, it's a very public place. Go ahead, Meg.
Let me pull up the policy.
All I want to say is we do have a policy, and I do think we have an obligation, to council and that kind of stuff, to actually follow the policy or to make changes to the policy so it actually works. Because otherwise, we could be in.
Yeah, that's, hence my question about how public is this space.
Yeah, Catherine?
I felt that too, right? I didn't want to be setting a precedent, and the thing that made me feel more confident about bringing this forward to you all was the fact that we've been wrapping boxes on adjacent to school grounds. We've been for several years, and we've been doing the crosswalks at Brackendale and other schools, and I just felt that while this is right on the school grounds itself, that is the main difference, but I felt that it was open. But anyway, that's why I felt like I could. And also I know how much that's used publicly, because I've gone to sporting
Pushing boundaries
events.
is good too, you know.
And it's
Yeah, but I do
I know
believe,
that.
I do agree and believe that there needs to be consistency for sure.
Okay.
The Squamish can, I just highlight that the fact that we have that public greenhouse and the gardens that are actually
Yeah.
community owned, like it does kind of help in bring in more community. I think if it was just a playground in a school, it's a little bit different because we have so many people come for that garden consistently. Public, we have huge sales coming, you know, it just really does make it that much more public. It's just to highlight it.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Jackie?
Sorry, so then will you make the connection to speak to our public policy of this mosaic to that public greenhouse and the public space, so that it is known as a public space, and very clearly define that, so that then we are within our policy?
I can check to make sure I can, but yes, I don't want to get in, I
That was
believe it is.
where I was leading
Yeah,
with that
absolutely.
question, was that it was a policy of public art.
Kind of try to look at all the pieces and
Yeah.
make sure, yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. Well, Devin is speed reading. I'm going to invite a special guest to join us at the big people table. A grade 11 student who has applied to be on our committee is here with us tonight. I don't see any reason why she ultimately won't be joining us on the committee. So Ashley, come on up and join us here.
Welcome, Ashley.
Are you finished with me?
No, we're not done with you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thanks for putting me first early, I appreciate it.
I'm killing a little time while we get started on this
That's all
policy.
good.
So Ashley, am I correct in saying you're a grade 11 student at Hillsdale Secondary School? Great, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And now, just so we're clear, we will be voting on things tonight. Your vote doesn't count because you're not a member of the committee, so. Don't be offended if we ignore you during the voting process. Great, are there any other questions, Meg?
Just while we're kind of waiting, I'm just wondering, are there school board policies with respect to community schools and that kind of thing? Do you know, or is the Mamcom school an exception? Because as you say.
There will be a policy, I don't know the policy, but I could look into finding out the exact policy. And it seems to
Because there's
change
usually
a little bit.
issues with, potentially with unions, there's just a whole policy environment.
Yes,
that you
there
know.
is.
Yeah, that we don't want to.
So even when we applied to put our, put the piece out, there
Yeah.
was a whole piece of just who's gonna maintain it, where is it gonna go? So that was in itself a bit of work, but then we kind of got the, yes, it's okay, putting the picnic tables, yes, it's okay, we'll put this art piece. But I know that there is policy, and I can try and track it down, I don't know.
It's more just a question, because I think in some ways having more joint use of school board properties for a lot of things like community gardens, I mean, the list could go on and on, right? But usually that's a bit of a process to try and even start
Oh, absolutely,
talking about
yeah.
who's managing and joint, those good kinds of things.
How long has Squamish Can been there?
They've been there
Yeah.
for, I want to say 4 years. I think it's 4, they might have even be, oh, my son's 6 now. It might be close, it's probably 5. It was in the process. The greenhouse went in last year, and it's quite a large greenhouse, and that's really extended.
It is quite.
The process, the garden beds themselves went in, I think, 5.5 years ago.
And part B is, did they have to do anything special with the school board?
Yes, they did at the time, but it was very fast moving when it happened. So I do know, because I had actually was background connected to it, of the people who were interested in putting it, and I was like, you should go see the administrator, and then like it was started like 3 months later. I was really surprised how fast it happened when it happened, because I didn't think that anything moved that fast. But it happened that fast. So I think it kind of just depends on what it is.
So
I don't know though.
still waiting?
I think Devin's got something she can share with us.
Yeah, it is a substantial policy coming in at 12 pages, so forgive me for not knowing it word for word. However, I'm going to say at this time, given the committee's interpretation of the public domain, that this would fit within the policy and that it resides within the district of Squamish, so therefore it's applicable. It also aligns with one of the policy's objectives of enhancing opportunities for engaging youth in visual arts. Further to that, the committee, if so chooses, can pass a motion, and ultimately council can decide whether or not to ratify it and endorse.
True.
I dare
Thank
council
you.
to reject this motion. I mean, assuming, that's assuming a lot. Okay, I'm conscious that Shauna has a babysitter that runs out in a little bit here.
It's
So,
okay, it's more of a 2-year-old will start screaming and the poor babysitter will feel bad.
unless there are any more questions, I'd like to get a motion on the table.
Just a quick
Yes.
question. Did you say if the school board knows that you're here requesting money, and is it okay with them?
I know my administrator knows I'm
Okay.
here,
And they're fine with it?
and they were fine with
Okay.
it, so as soon as I get an A-okay from my
I
administrator.
had my
just-
PowerPoint transferred over today, which it didn't. We also got a $100 donation from
Home Depot.
Home Depot,
Okay,
which is going towards these guys.
thank you.
Great, so I'd like to entertain a motion that $600 be,
I have to
Recuse?
recuse myself.
and can you just give us a quick explanation of what's behind that?
I have to recuse myself because of conflict of interest, and so thus I am doing that.
And you're a project manager, correct?
I'm the of this project, yes.
Yeah,
I'm the
perfect.
project manager / artist of this project.
Thanks, Catherine.
Okay, thanks.
So, motion, anyone? No, wait? City.
I'll move to support the project for $600 and ask if the applicant can upload it to our public art map at the end
Great.
of the project.
And that's seconded by Jackie. Any discussion? Meg?
I'm going to vote against it simply because it's a great project, I really like it, but I'm just really anxious about more people coming and this being a public pathway, you know, behind the school and that kind of stuff. And I just, to me, it's not quite the definition of public, and even the inviting the community to a plant sale or inviting the community to a public performance is different than everybody just steamboating through the school grounds kind of thing. I just, if we had a more formal discussion about how that might work and how that might look like for other schools and that kind of stuff, I would be more happy with it. So.
Any other discussion? I'll be voting in favor of this. I think it's an excellent project that hits all of our criteria around youth, engagement, community. I know Catherine's work, and Malcolm Elementary School is a place that I spent a lot of time at, from kindergarten through to grade 7. I think this would be a great addition to the school grounds. Jackie?
Could I add an asterisk to that we do, in light of our public policy, that we do review our policy quite seriously and thoroughly so that we can be more clear
Sure.
when,
Let's take
Yeah,
that offline.
yeah, but
It's a
it
separate
needs to
discussion.
be, even before the next ones come to us,
Yeah.
in future, that it actually be more thoroughly reviewed
Okay,
so that we can make confident decisions.
good. Any other comments? I'll call the question. Oh, yeah, you want to jump in?
I thought they were great points and comments, and the reason I'd probably vote in favour is because it's on public land and it's a public place and it's just location. I do feel and sort of reflect that was my one sticking point, and I think I would feel confident in what Devon has just explained in policy and what I've read before, that it's public in a sense of the word. Now we need more definition for now.
Great. And I'll just check in one more time.
Can I just clarify that it's school property,
It's school property.
but it's considered public?
It's public access.
Land.
It's private property, but public access, I believe, is I could look into it, but anybody can go onto that property at any time. So like there's no fences. I don't know what the definition is, but
yeah,
I think it's
Devin?
If I may-
private. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to clarify your statement.
Okay.
I believe that school boards particularly, and it could be from school to school, have policies around when they're open and closed. And if I could make the assumption that generally these policies talk about
School hours and
school hours
non-school
and
hours.
non-school hours, in terms of when people are allowed to be on the property. So not having that policy to refer to, we'll have to either do some digging or trust that that the intent behind this is that the public art would be consumed publicly outside of school hours.
Peter?
Just to clarify my point, which I think one of the things is it's publicly owned land. So this piece of art which we're putting money towards will stay on publicly owned land no matter what, even if it's publicly open. Not correct. It's not private land. Or is that,
It's one of the,
is that good now? Okay, sorry I asked.
No, it's
Help.
you know, one of the great things about this is that we get to debate what's public and not, and that it highlights the opportunity within the policy to clarify, because right now we talk about the policy is very clear on like private with the intent of commercial versus public. So there's an
And- and-
opportunity.
Did you have something else?
My only concern is if we put it on our public art map or GIS system, and then people go there, and then we have to try to control what time they're there. I think that's just a bit of an issue. And it's, you know,
That would be with any, I mean, you know, public library is closed on certain hours.
yeah, but it's an
and stuff.
enclosed area, the doors are locked, people wandering in the playground.
we have people out there all the time, like on the weekend, like just like there's always, like I just want to draw a vision of it. There are always people on that, in that area there.
I guess
so I don't know, like it doesn't close. But I don't know.
Based on the policy.
Yeah, but I understand.
Yeah,
Totally
I mean,
understand.
if we can do it based on our policy, I'm all for it, because I think it's amazing.
Okay, great. Peter?
This was the question on the PAC thing, that if although it's about policy for us moving forward, if the PAC, sorry,
PAC, yeah.
is approving it under the knowledge
Advisory
and
Council.
that this is because it's public art and people are going public and it will go on the thing and they're like, yeah, we understand that, that's not a problem, then that will actually help, you know, us feel confident moving forward. Whereas if we're like, yes, we're with the money, and then you go back, get great, we've got it, and then the PAC says, well, no, we can't put on that because we don't want people coming down here, that's the only challenge I'd see with the funding.
Can we
Sydney?
consider amending the motion then to read contingent upon SD 48 policy reads something in terms of
Yeah,
okay
Yeah,
with
that's
this?
what I meant
Okay
by
with
the
that.
asterisks, yeah.
I'm not, I guess what the staff want recommendation for wording.
Okay, so a friendly amendment then to add pending School District 48 approval
Yeah,
of the project?
so then we don't.
As a public access project.
As a, yeah.
You got that?
I don't think it's friendly enough.
I took it as
So
friendly.
amendment.
Yeah.
And can you just clarify that amendment, Sydney?
Pending approval from, is it SD 48?
School District
Yes.
48.
Yes, SD 48.
Okay.
So that it aligns with policy.
And can we have a seconder for the amendment?
Seconded by Angela.
And then it's up to you to call the
Voting
question
on
on the full motion.
Amendment, was it friendly?
Yeah, so
Wasn't
am I,
So we need to vote
I'm
on the
dealing
amendment
with
first.
the
Yes.
original motion first and then the amendment, or?
No, you deal with the you have a mover and seconder on the
amendment, which
and
is-
then you call the question on the amendment, and then you vote on the
Okay.
full motion as amended, on the main motion as amended.
Okay, I'm going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment? Okay, that carries unanimous. Now, the original motion. Is there any further discussion on the original motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Of the original motion?
There's a,
As the amended motion.
on the main motion as amended,
Yeah.
to include
Oh.
what we just voted on.
Right, so that would mean we're either approving the $600 expense for the project or we're rejecting it. So all those in favor? Okay, so that means
Oh my God.
Meg's opposed,
Yep.
opposed? Meg? Everybody else is for, the motion passes. And Sid, will you go and grab Catherine and bring her back in?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Shauna, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for listening to me.
And
Thanks
your
for everything you do,
apologies.
and I appreciate pushing me forward to accommodate my children. No problem. Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thanks.
Okay, next is the Squamish Public Library mural competition, and Hillary Bloom, the library director, is with us. Hillary, you have a presentation. You have words of wisdom for us.
I do. I just realized that it looks a little different on this. I think that my font might not be loaded on here. So hopefully it still looks okay. It looks quite nice, actually. Different font.
Oh, right.
Is there a different?
You know what? Can we just go with? Okay. Amy, we're going to do your delegation next, after Hillary. Hillary, do you have babysitter? Are you also?
No, I now have a 12-and-a-half-year-old so she babysits her younger sister. It's all good.
So the air conditioner was on, did it pass?
Yes, you're good. It's all good.
Cool,
Go
thank you
ahead-
everybody.
Go ahead, Hillary, take it away. Amy, you want to join us?
Hi, everyone. I am Hillary Bloom. I'm the Director of Library Services. Forgot my name tag tonight, but thank you for the opportunity to speak to the committee about an exciting opportunity that we're bringing forward that we'd like to ask you to consider supporting. So I'm going to kind of go back in time here with the next slide to show you a picture of the end product from a Public Art Committee funded 2017 mural project. This was the icing on the cake at the end of an extensive renovation of our children's area that happened in 2016. And then later in 2017, we were able to participate in a call for artists and receive funding at that point to engage with a local artist to put a fantastic mural on our wall. If you haven't been into the library to see the mural, the writing is gold leaf. And so when the sun is shining on it a certain way, it actually completely glows. It's quite magical. So we were needless to say, very happy with the result of that. It completely animates the children's area. It's got phrases to do with quotes about reading and the importance of books in children. And it ties in with, I can't help but drive. I'm just gonna drive.
No.
So we also recently installed a new welcome sign at the front of our library. So right at the entrance to facing the outside, we have this on the glass. And this was, we decided to tie it back to the mural and the bright colors. But this was after having extensive training and workshops with staff to do with specifically LGBTQ competency training. We learned a lot about the importance of making sure everybody feels welcome, and we had lots of conversations about it. And we changed the gendered signage on our bathrooms, and we did a lot of little things. But this welcome sign is something that I'm very proud of, that we endorsed and helped create with Safe and Sound's input to have it very long and inclusive, because by having a long list, it ensures that you're hopefully not excluding anyone. So we get a lot of response and excitement about that because it really speaks to our values about providing a welcoming and an accessible space for everyone. So fast forward to today, and I recognize many faces. I know you come into the library, and luckily, we are still a very busy, vibrant place. We're starting to get short on space. John French hears this from me all the time when I'm in here talking about facilities. But to that end, our teen area is really not even its own area. It's a designated wall, part of a wall in one corner of the library. And it does have a little sign, but it's sad and very unanimated. And so from just the great results from the first mural, other initiatives that we've been doing, we would like to figure out a way to spruce up that area, draw attention to the fact that the teen resources are there, and just liven it up. So I'm going to show you a really depressing looking picture now. Well, it's not that depressing, I guess. But this is the area. So I mean, in a real perfect world, we would eventually be in a bigger building and we can have a separate teen room and, you know, imagine all the possibilities. But right now, this is what we have. Great collection of teen resources. So really, I'm going to show you a couple different angles, but there's the one main taller wall on the right there. But we recently rejigged the layout so that the teen books now actually go all the way over to, on your left there, the longer, shorter, narrower piece. And so our idea is, wouldn't it be great to be able to brighten that up? And from anywhere in our open space library, you would look over and see that that's happening over there. This is it from the other way. It's a little hard to get great shots of this area. So this is that taller area right in the front, and then the shorter left-hand part is a little bit tucked out of the way. But this is from standing at the very front of the library where all the big glass windows are, looking towards Municipal Hall. And then that's it again there. On the first of these 3 slides, I did list off our estimated dimensions. I did not climb up there with a ladder to actually measure, but I had a pretty good estimation. But of course, an artist would need to visit the space and ensure and confirm dimensions down to the closer measurements. So these are our ideas so far. In terms of design criteria, we'd like an inspiring, eye-catching mural which reflects Squamish's vibrant population of young adults, connects to the library's values of creativity, community, learning, and literacy, and ties into the library's current design aesthetic. So I picture that it can stand out and be its own thing, but with keeping in mind sort of a little bit of an idea of what else is happening in there, and you know, I just think that needs to be factored in. Funding breakdown. So what I've got it broken down as is a cost fee for the artist, insurance, and then because it is up high, there would certainly be scaffolding involved, and potentially moving the books and shelving below. Although I don't know that we're going to have to move, I don't think we'll have to move the shelves because we're just looking at something that would just be up above, but we would have to just think about rearranging furniture as needed for a total of $4,000. And proposed timeline, when we get an idea in our head, we like to go. So ideally looking at a call for artists May 15th to June 15th, awarding of contract by June 30th, and then painting of the mural July and August of this summer. There's flexibility in that timeline from my perspective, but when we did the mural last time, it took place sort of right at the end of June into the summer, and we did a big ribbon cutting right at the beginning with Summer Reading Club. But what was really cool last time was our artist was actually able to work on it sometimes at night because she was projecting stuff up onto the wall and then needing darkness for that. In June, it's limited darkness, but she worked on it during the day while we were open, and so adults, children, everybody was coming and watching her and talking to her about it, and that was really cool. And since July and August is when we're the very busiest with children and young people out of school, it would be kind of nice timing to be able to have it as an opportunity for people to experience the process as well. That is my last slide. I am happy to answer any questions.
Jackie?
Are you planning to do, or is there an opportunity to paint that entire wall or include what's behind the books so that it kind of pops out like a statement wall in a house? Would you also include seating in that area? Because I noticed there's kind of a dearth of seating in that area, or a place to sort of curl up and read a book. I know there are other spots in the library to do that, but were you creating that space just for, and are you going to call it a teen area or a young adult? Because I know the books are called young adults.
Yes. These are all
That's the phrase.
excellent questions. So whether to call it teen or not, that's a debate we talk about all the time.
Well, I know
What-
they use the phrase when they write the books as young adult
Yes.
category.
Yes. Our sign right now says young people, which
Yeah.
I think was probably the sign from when the library used to be in this building, like a long time.
It is a long time.
So
remember those days.
I don't know about the wording,
Okay.
and I'm quite open. I think that, you know, this is kind of part of the process of figuring out. I was just going fast and thought, rather than taking all the books down, all the shelving down, and painting underneath, there's very little actual exposed space behind those shelves, so it felt to me like really not maybe necessary, but I guess it depends on the vision of what somebody would want to put up there.
Yeah. I was just wondering if it's, the whole wall was available as a canvas.
It is,
Okay.
but it would be very covered below that area. Seating wise, there is seating just in front, like in front of those glass windows. We do have some couch style seating. We have new laptop bar height and bar stools there. Not bar stools, like workspace stools. And
We knew what you meant.
yeah,
Drinking in the
and
book.
but right
Drinking in
there,
the
that's the
river seat.
challenge, is that I'm not planning on renovating the layout, so
Okay.
we're pretty limited. So it's kind of like, this is something new and exciting, but, you know, could I have a blank canvas? I would probably do, you know, something maybe different.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Martinis at the library, new and exciting.
Yes.
Devin, you're good?
Yeah.
Jackie, you have a follow-up?
Just, that was all. I just wanted to know if that, even though that is covered up, it's nice to have color coming through.
Yes.
Sometimes to make the books stand out.
Yeah.
More inviting.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It is one
Even
sort
if
of
the
block of
design
wall.
is more up top.
Yeah, and if you look at the, we have these beams, like, oh, they're not beams, but the wooden panel, like each panel is broken up by these pieces
Yeah.
of wood. So it is floor to ceiling white with these brown beams in between. We're not attached to, I mean, the person could paint that middle wood beam to kind of consistently make the whole thing one big canvas. We're totally open to
And
ideas.
the follow-up was, are you putting this up for an RFP to the artists?
That would be the plan, yes.
Sydney?
Just want to say that the art in the library currently is amazing.
Oh,
Really
great.
nice. I do have a question for Devin in the sense of our budget, because last meeting we spent about $12,000 and we spent potentially 600 just in the previous delegation. So I'm just wondering, I know we have a pool of funds, but what funding is accessible in this financial year? Just also considering we've got another delegation, Mosaic, and the House on Secondary competition that we've been talking about as well. Oh, yes, exactly.
So I've kind of been keeping track, obviously, and we've been there's room.
Okay.
That would be the short answer.
Okay.
I've got Meg next and then Peter.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, Friends of the Library, do they participate in this kind of thing? Is this a joint thing, or is this we're potentially doing the funding?
As proposed, it would be funded exclusively by the committee. The Friends fundraise for the library and offer, I come forward to them with ideas and that they often fund. So they recently replaced the furnishing at the fireplace area, the seating there. They've done many other things. I see that, well, so it would be something I could approach them with. I've not at this point gone to them with this. I have other ideas for things I would like them to fund. Especially they tend to have a specific interest in funding things for not just young children, but the children's area is something they tend to focus on. But that is an option that I could consider.
Because even a nominal partnership sometimes makes it easier to
Yeah.
get it through, so it's
Yeah.
just an idea.
Peter?
Is there anybody else who wants to ask a question before I go? I'd like to go last. And sounds really simple.
I do have like a question.
Anna, take it away.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
And again, if this is kind of out of line, or just let me know. There's the Squanderer Mural Festival going on, and now we have the artist in the room here. And I don't know if this is something that could be done as one of the sites and work a partnership there. I'm just putting it out there. I'm fairly new on the committee. But
Yeah,
I'm
so-
wondering if the artist in the room is having some ideas going
He's
through
nodding
his
behind
mind.
Hence
It's
my
not
question about the
appropriate to do
RFP.
that,
No,
please let
it's-
me know. I'm not sure.
Absolutely appropriate
Great
to
question.
have a conversation and ask the questions. And I'm going to suggest that it would be cleaner for us if we just kept it all separate. And if Stan would like to apply to be the artist, woohoo!
Okay.
Yeah,
2 thumbs up.
as the RFP, right?
And we're already at step 1 with the Squanderer festival. Like we have already made a money commitment to that festival. So to try and somehow bring them together and unite them at this point, I think we're just better off
Okay.
to. Peter, go ahead.
Sorry, that I'm going to have to disagree. I don't like duplication, and unless so, this is my challenge. Is I didn't want to ask that question because it's awkward. Two choices. You have a project which because you see a vision and you want to drive it forward, so therefore you have a budget and you've done all this work and it's your vision. But when a budget comes up and we have a limited budget and there's already an application which we approved for Mural Festival, and as I understand, Stan has 4 or 5, and I don't know yet if he's done all those 5, and he might be looking for somebody. So if we were going to vote first on this to approve it, and then Stan says, well actually I could only find 3 people, and the budget we gave for him was $2,000 and this budget is $4,000, and Stan says he can do it for two because he's already got the experience to do that, then maybe it would be advantageous and save money for the library and the committee to save some funds, and that extra $2,000 could be rolled into the library's mural, so it could be it could save half the money. I'm saying so that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
The finances.
May I offer a process suggestion for the
Please.
next couple of agenda items? May I suggest that we finalize any questions with Hillary and we go through a couple of more agenda items until we are satisfied that all of the applicants for this evening have been presented, and then at which time we can have a fuller picture of how best to proceed.
Okay, so you're suggesting a motion later in the meeting regarding this $4,000 request? Okay.
I
like that idea.
I don't think that's a motion. I think
It's just
it's
a
a
process.
process, yeah.
Yeah.
Approving the $4,000 is a process?
No, you deferring the decision
Yeah,
on
okay.
the agenda item further on.
Okay, good. I like this idea because Angela has an 8 o'clock hard stop. And one of our agenda items is driven by Angela, which means I'm going to ask you to be patient for a little bit longer. And with putting a pause on the library mural conversation, I would like to go to Angela so that we can hear from you before you have to leave at 8. Devin.
So just to offer the committee the opportunity to ask Hillary any more questions before we wish her a good evening.
Yep. Meg, was your hand up for?
I just wanted to say, I wish we had a consistent policy so we don't make decisions until we've heard all the delegations and boom, then we discuss them. Because we've got a different standard, it appears to me, with different, and I'm not sure why we make those decisions other than the time kind of thing. So that's just my little 2 cents.
Okay, any further questions for Hillary, Anna, then
Just
Peter,
a
and then?
super quick question. How much did the first mural cost you?
I can
Just
answer that
approximately.
question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only question.
It's within the ballpark. It's
Okay.
within the same ballpark. I think it's plus minus maybe $750.
Peter?
Hillary, could I just ask you, we're going to listen to Stan and get the information and we'll have a think about it, but what was your reaction and thoughts when I saying, well...
So I'm not intimately familiar with the festival, the Mural Festival, the process. I would say that as presented, I would like to have decision-making power over what is permanently affixed to the interior of
That's
our beloved
absolutely.
facility,
Yeah.
for better or for worse.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why I've presented it this way.
And so if that condition was part of it, because as we heard from Stan last week, it's very much he works with
Okay.
you or whoever
Yeah.
the building client sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it only gets approved, then it comes back and it gets
I
approved,
see,
and then
yeah.
there is that process. Is that your own concerns or any others?
I can't really say whether I have concerns or not. All I know is this is what I'm asking for right now.
Cool. Sounds great. Thank you.
Angela?
Actually, my question was answered.
Oh, great. Okay. Super. Last chance. Questions for Hillary?
Great project, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, for
That's
the
awesome.
young people.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Youth.
Thank you,
Yours.
Hillary.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna leave.
We appreciate your time.
Thanks.
All right, so we're going to move to 5, and item number 1, business. Angela has got some words for us on the House Sound Secondary project.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I hope I can be brief, but I am looking for some feedback, so bear with me. So I did meet with Natalie last week, the art teacher at House Sound, and she's on board. She loves the idea of a youth competition for public art here that we would be supporting. We have decided on a couple of things. She likes the idea of a theme, and she does think that we should give some direction to students about themes. So I have a couple of ideas that I'd like to run by you on that in a couple of minutes that we could decide as a committee. And I will be presenting the competition itself likely at the end of May, around May 24th, to at least 2 of her classes, and then she will present it to the 3rd class because our schedules just don't quite meet up to do all 3 together. And so the themes that I was thinking about, and maybe we just pick one or the other, or we could have both and see what students do with it. One is just identity, and then the other one is place and belonging, with the idea that perhaps there could be a connection to the idea of what it means to identify and feel like as a person who lives and plays in Squamish. So it could be something along those lines, but it could really be open to anything. And so I don't want to put too many parameters around it. So I'm opening that up to discussion. And what I'll be doing when I go to House Sound is present the application process, which I guess I could work with staff about an application if it needs to change at all, more specifically to this particular competition. We could just jig that public art application for that competition, because it's a little different. And then I would bring this application as well as I would do some work to introduce the idea of the 2 themes. I mean, this is what I do all day long, right? This is like, I can do this in my sleep. And talk to students about what a good application would look like, a complete, thoughtful application. And I'll work with Natalie on this, obviously, and then give some examples of public art that are currently in the community. So I'll grab some photographs and some information about that, as well as just looking beyond Squamish and what maybe other youth competitions have done around Canada and the world, just to give students an idea of what's possible. Because I feel like if you give them an opportunity to see what's possible, then that could be really helpful. So those are just some basics right there. The timeline is still staying the same. She agrees that the timeline works, in that we introduce the idea of the project, the competition now, let that sort of percolate over the summer, and then give the application a good start for September, take in applications in, say, mid-October, so that we have time to deliberate and choose, and then award, and then the idea that the installation would be the spring of 2020. So that timeline still works, and Natalie agrees that probably would work really great. So another question I had, 2 other big questions were location. So do we want to, as a committee, stipulate some locations? Or do we want students to just come up with that on their own? Like, what do I bring to students about that? And Natalie, on the heels of the MAMQUAM application, very interesting listening to that. She just had a quick question of the Squamish Elementary School, which is next door. There is a gazebo there, and she was wondering if that could be a possible site, but it is on school property. So I don't know. So again, that's what we have to, as a committee, can maybe decide whether we want to stipulate locations or not. And the other thing is I saw on the screen, we're thinking about a certain amount of money. Do we want to have a hard amount? Do we want to let students come up with a budget on their own? And like, do we want to give them that opportunity? Do we want to have like a range or an up to, you can't spend more than this much? Like, what will the competition award look like? So those are some questions. So the three main questions, I'm looking for some guidance from all of you and from staff as well, of course, is the idea of the themes. Do we like them? Do you want to propose something else? Locations, do we want to stipulate locations or let students come up with their own locations? And how are we going to come up with a dollar amount to, or do we?
Okay, great. Let's start with thoughts on themes.
So the themes again were the ones that were just general, that we discussed: identity and place of belonging. Don't have to be those at all.
Input, comments, thoughts?
So what did you say? Identity?
Identity
Identity.
and place of belonging. These are themes that I've actually worked with my students this year. We had a whole list of them, but these were two that I thought might be kind of nice to work with.
Place and belonging are two different ones.
Place and belonging are together as one theme, and
Okay.
identity is another.
Okay, thank you.
Amy.
I'm glad I asked.
I'm actually just gonna pick on somebody and ask if our brand new committee
Ah,
member
you
would
and
like
I
to
are
comment on that.
So Ashley, you get the gist of this? We're trying to determine if we should suggest a theme for an art competition that would involve Howsound Secondary School students.
I think a theme is a really good idea, something that students can kind of like stick to, because it's kind of hard for young people to kind of like come up with their own ideas. And like if they don't have that much experience, then it's good to give them something to work off of.
Do you think that they're broad enough for to work within?
I
To
think
come
so,
up with
yeah.
things? Yeah.
And now, do you have a preference for either one of identity or place and belonging as a theme?
I kind of like place and belonging more than identity, but that might just be me.
Sure.
Like everybody's different.
Do you think it's too much to have two themes, or do you think we should just narrow it down to one?
I think two themes is fine, because everybody, when they think of the two themes, they they gravitate towards one or the other, and I think it's going to be easier to kind of think of something.
Okay. Great. That's
Amy, any follow-up?
No, that was great.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Sydney?
Could you not just add a comma after identity and then have it as something?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
identity, place, and belonging.
Yeah.
Perhaps, or does that like
It could
muddy
be.
the waters too much?
I'm open to whatever.
Good. Any other thoughts on theme?
I agree with Sydney.
Okay.
Identity, place, and belonging as one solid theme.
Well, and that they can grab any part of it that appeals to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can talk about that too.
Yeah.
Just
If place is what's important, if belonging is what's important.
be place and belonging.
Okay, that's valuable enough feedback? Then let's move on
Yeah.
to the question about location. Do we dictate, or sorry, Jackie, did you have a thought before
No,
we move on?
just
Okay.
on.
Do we dictate or do we allow the kids to choose their location, Jackie?
It goes back to our previous conversation about location. It's a school, private property, and we've had other issues with young people choosing spots of art around. I think it was the concrete pieces of art that we had an issue with, of them choosing where the art went, and it didn't quite fit with our definition of public art and location. It could have conflicted with what we were going to do in that space. So that's going to be a really tough one. I think we really need to define that more clearly for ourselves and then for the students. So I think we're going to have to put a little bit more thought behind that.
Okay, Meg?
This is a public art committee with due respect to the schools, which are public. I would really like to get the young people having an arts presence not in the school playgrounds, someplace else.
Beyond.
If they say, look, this really makes a lot of sense to have it here because of this, and this, then I think we can be open to it. But I really would like to encourage them to think beyond the school confines. both physically and metaphorically as well.
That's my preference too.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It really is. I don't know how you feel about that, actually, but I think it's nice to get outside of the school once in a while. Yeah, I know. I'm there all day long. So you feel the same way.
Field trip.
Yeah. I think what I'm just looking is like, are there some suggestions, or should we stipulate that we would like it outside of school grounds, but within the district?
Anna, you
Yeah.
have a
I'd
thought?
love to hear more about that.
I just think pick 3 places, and then that'll just help them visualize their idea there. It makes it easier. They're not trying to figure that out too. They can focus on their concept, and they can visualize it in one of those 3 places. 3 things, or it's 2 things, and 3 words, 3 places, just nice and simple. And maybe
Deb?
we can work together.
Okay, good. Devin?
I would just offer the connecting it with one of Council's strategic priorities in terms of hubs and neighborhood connectivity and connecting those things. So maybe it's, Brackendale, Denville, downtown, Ballycliffe, Highlands. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
That's how we started in year 1.
Yes.
We did one, the salmon project, with the metal salmons that were standing, you can see everywhere. We had 3 spots.
Meg?
That's another question I wanted. I have no problem with targeting House Sound Secondary School, like this year. We already have a project through the Squamish School, their application, so they're already rolling with one. But I'm really concerned that it not be limited to House Sound Secondary School, because Don Ross has also got, I'm sure, an art program and that kind of stuff too. And if we can lay it out and say, okay, Squamish is doing something this year, and for next year we've got House Sound Secondary, and the year after we're going to have Don Ross, then we can cut off some things at the pass in terms of we're not being exclusive for just one school.
So talk to Natalie about Don Ross. And from what I understand, they don't have an art teacher there. They work in pods, and the math teacher could be teaching a section of art. So, which is a whole other kettle of fish that I don't want to get into. But
Fibonacci series. Sorry.
So I totally get that.
So the reason that is, so I did ask her about that and said I would love to extend this to middle school as well, for sure. From what I understood from our conversation, she's not against it. She's just saying it might be difficult for me to do that in terms of finding someone that could be my point person right now. So, but I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to say no to anyone. I don't want to say no to the elementary schools if they want to, but as a jumping off point
As a
for
practical.
yes, practically for this first time around, and moving forward, I definitely want to be inclusive of the entire situation.
All the school kids, I think.
All
is
of them,
important.
absolutely.
So you could frame it as a pilot project.
Yes, yes. I do think we need to be careful with the age group, because as you know already, working with children, it's a completely other kettle of fish.
Totally.
They're not going to understand an application process. I'm sure they didn't fill it out. It looks like your handwriting, right?
Such as it is.
What is valuable about doing this with students, I would say from grade 7 up, is that they're at an age, maturity-wise, that you can talk to them and get them through an application process, which is a valuable thing as professional artists. But I don't.
Different objectives actually for that. It's not just the art and engaging.
Exactly.
So I certainly understand.
Yeah. So,
Squamish
but I'm
School,
open
though,
to.
is I think it's because it's K to 12, right?
Yeah.
So it does have those older
Yeah,
kids as
totally.
well
Totally.
too. So
Yeah.
it's
And I'm
just-
not against it. I'm just saying for the definitely, like you say, maybe for a pilot project first time around.
So this part of the discussion is supposed to be focused on location.
Yes.
Let's
Got off topic.
try and
Yeah.
keep that on track.
Oh, any other ideas about location? Yeah, I'm curious what people.
I
Did you have
just
another thought?
really like the idea of having 2 locations minimum kind of thing, and pros and cons of that, so that they actually explain why this makes sense, why this would be the location number 1 and this would be location number 2. I would really like to
Okay,
see
great.
that.
And not in school.
And my preference is not in the school,
Yeah.
unless there's a really good, hyper excellent reason why it should be. But
Catherine?
And more than once, we've kind of grappled about locations, and it would be good to have like an ongoing list of, say, 20 possibilities within the district, so that we can practically say, these are our top 3 locations for 2019 or 2020 or 2021. And that's something that's missing right now, I think. And I think we should really have one, because it's been very informal, and even up until now. So this is the 4th year that we've just finished.
Okay, Deb?
So that's on the to-do list
Okay.
of the coordinator, the part-time coordinator level that is funded by the committee, carryover from 2018. So there's approximately $4,000 worth of time that person will be dedicating to, what did we call? Inventory, public art, research opportunities and areas, and further developing the inventory GIS. And so the intern right now working with me, she has dabbled in the GIS and working on the spreadsheet. But I think that the coordinator will be operating at a different level and might be able to more efficiently.
Great. And just my thoughts, I like the idea of we dictate the location. And that gives us that control and allows us to fulfill on our objectives around art in the community. So, unless there's any more thoughts on location, I want to move to discussion about budget.
I just have
Yeah,
a question
go ahead.
about location then. So when I go in 4 weeks to talk to the students at House Sound, what locations do I tell them are?
Yeah.
That job.
Well,
Because, I mean, and I'm happy to work with.
Is that
whoever.
something the two of you can
Yeah,
sort out
absolutely.
offline?
Perfect.
Yeah, if the committee is comfortable with me recommending, a park in Brackendale, a park in Ballycliffe, using the lens of public realm
Yeah.
or public domain.
Can you pick one wall in case it's a mural? In case
You know what,
you need a
and-
flat surface?
And that's where previous conversations, the committee has just kind of left it open, and depending on the art, we have existing art walls in our inventory right now that are being underutilized.
Okay.
So there's a yin and a yang to dictating the location.
So let me just do a quick check. Is everybody comfortable with we leave the location discussion where we've just brought it to and hand it over to Angela and Devin?
I am, but just for future reference, it would be good that when we become more and more aware of our inventory, that we know where public art is missing in the community.
And we can be more
Yeah,
directive.
so like there's nothing really in the Highlands, or there's, some places have had more emphasis than other places so far.
Okay, let's talk budget, award amount. What are your thoughts? Anna?
Before we start, can we just clarify, is it one project we're going to be funding?
It's one project
By an individual or?
Natalie and I talked about that. It could be a group of students, it could be one student. And that's something, like, we're hoping we get a few applications and then we have some opportunity to look through things.
How,
Hold on, Jackie. I have
Sorry.
Devin first and then Jackie.
I don't know what I was going to say.
You just ponder that, and if you need me to come back to you, just let me know. Sydney, did you have your hand up too? No. Okay, Jackie, go ahead.
so in terms of the cost and then awarding this, I'm going to come back from the other direction, is how is this going to be awarded? Is there a list of criteria that then this gets checked off? Like, so a group applies for it and they meet certain criteria, or an individual applies for it and it meets certain criteria, and then who awards it? Is it you? Is it a jury?
It would be us, I would assume, or if we want to make a subcommittee maybe of this committee to choose.
Let's check with Devin on that.
How does that work?
The role of the Public Art Committee is to adjudicate competitions, and so it would be staff's recommendation that it is a public art committee competition, thus adjudicated by them.
So then that would come to us. So yeah, I think costs, we really need to have a defined budget of, you know, marketing, materials, maintenance, all of that needs to be costed out fully before it comes to us as a final project.
Deb?
May I suggest that as it's a competition, it's an awarding, and that the committee decides before marketing the competition on an amount.
Okay.
So just previously, an amount of $500 has been used to award students at Howe Sound Secondary, and those funds go back, typically have gone back to the school. So historically, when the amount of money is offered as a, nope, reward's not the right thing. What am I trying to say? As a honorarium? Prize money. Still not quite right. Commission. That it's like, that's fantastic. The Public Art Committee chooses this. There's your prize money. Done.
Meg?
Do we know how much the Squamish, how much did they request? How much
They requested $2,000.
But that's again for the physical construction of the monuments, the installation, the artwork, all that good kind of stuff, yeah?
I'm not sure where the $500 came from.
That is not associated with
Is that
this competition.
That was the graphic design
Exactly.
class.
This was the graphic design class
Right. That's
awarding.
A different one. Right,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was like,
Yes.
awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Here's $500 toward supplies for the art program.
Meg?
I would like to put at least 2,000 provisionally, you know, that we actually set that. I think that's reasonable and see what that generates in the community, and hopefully that's all inclusive, although we might have to negotiate that if they want to do a sculpture of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
At least it gives them a point to work towards
Yes.
in terms of budgeting, and they'll learn how to budget. Okay, you have $2,000 to work with. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And includes manpower and maintenance and all of those other
And-
staff power. Sorry.
Natalie and I can work together to present that to the students with some examples of, like, if you want to do a bronze sculpture, this is what it will cost. This is how you maintain it and what will be need. Yeah, like you.
Yeah.
This would be the size, maybe.
Yeah. This big.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, no. Like obviously, we'll present it with the information, with the understanding that these are, these are students. They're still learning the ways of professional arts. And I think this is a really great opportunity for us as a committee of art enthusiasts and art professionals
To mentor.
to mentor the youth
Yeah.
coming up in our community and encourage them. Like, we want them to, be a part of these really cool art community initiatives, and having them mentor that way would be nice. I'm excited about it.
Sydney?
I just wanted to clarify my own thoughts around proposal versus competition. And that this is a competition, whereas the Squamish school, they came to us with a proposal in mind, with a budget through our traditional application process. So in my mind, when we say $2,000, it's like we get a delegate of 5 however many, and it's more of like a prize. They win, essentially, because they're better than the others.
Yeah.
Versus, I do agree, though, I think it's a good exercise for them to go through and mark out a budget, just in general. I think that's a good process to go through. But I think if we, as a committee, my opinion is that we would look at it differently than our previous proposals, because it's more of a competition.
Jackie?
So then if we are going to be the jury of those, we need a set of criteria in which to then judge them.
Yes,
something.
absolutely. And I'm happy to, with of course Natalie's help, go through and create that criteria. And of course, part of it will be based on theme and the use of and design within the location constraints and things like that.
Yeah.
And obviously a clear budget. Yeah, well, we can outline that for sure. So that when we sit down, it's a very clear criteria.
Yeah.
That has also been, of course, given to the students well in advance.
Devin?
Yes, criteria is critical. I would say that by default, being the Public Art Committee, there is that you allow yourself room for interpretation and fluidity in the judgment.
Fair, but we still need criteria.
Peter, just put your hand up. I know you're on
This
top.
one was, I was going to say anything this one, and then I was like, since we probably won't have time for it later, I just think it's very interesting that Sydney and I were sitting on this Altera thing, which almost sounds a little bit like an exercise that we were going through in the committee, which the school kids. So there is the document which they gave us, which you could take and show them, and then we will eventually give some feedback, and then finally when we get to the final stage, then hey, they can even sit here and listen. There we go.
Yeah, okay. Do I have that?
I'm conscious of time because
I need
it's
to get-
2 minutes to 8, but I think
I
we've
have already.
covered most, if not all, of the ground that Angela wanted us to cover. Before we leave, though, the budget discussion, I'd like to up the ante. I think we should do a little more than 2,000, like maybe 2,500, maybe 4,000. Let's put 2,500 on the board for now. Well, the Squamish project was 2,000, and in my mind, this is a step up from what they came to us with. Like I see this as a little more prestigious. It's competitive. In theory, I was going to say, probably going to be engaging older students, but the Squamish program goes to grade 12. I don't know, just in my mind, this needs to be a little bit.
I'm happy. I mean, honestly, this is a fishing expedition at this point,
Yeah.
isn't it? We don't know.
It's our
What-
first shot at
you
it.
don't know, maybe they're gonna come with
Yeah.
this gold leaf thing that's gonna be fabulous. We're gonna fall all over themselves and say, let's do that, to hell with the budget, you know?
Yeah,
It's
and-
just
and-
the budget. Relatively speaking.
With the budget amount that we have left in this, well, we're not even looking at this year because this would be a 2020 initiative.
Yes.
But nonetheless,
You just wanna
this-
spend
this-
money, is that?
yeah, and this committee doesn't necessarily have a budget crunch problem. There's a bit
We're
of money
conservative.
kicking around. And there will be money, likely, again in 2020.
Yeah,
Definitely.
sorry, and I was making the assumption, the committee absolutely could have $2,500 in September, October to spend on this,
Yeah.
so.
Yes, the money is technically not going to be awarded until the 2020 season? Or 20.
When in your timeline would the awarding take place?
We will be jurying it in the fall and then.
So that's the 2019 budget.
Okay, yes, so I'm corrected then.
Okay.
I was thinking of spring installation.
It is spring installation, but we'll award the money.
Yeah.
Because you'll
Good.
need the money in order
To
to
buy
implement.
supplies and
Yeah.
implement it.
So Angela, does that conversation give you what you need at this point?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right, and if
Look forward to
anybody-
reporting back about how it goes.
And if there's anybody with any additional thoughts on all of this after we meet tonight, we can feel free to email
Yes,
you.
please email
further
me with
thoughts.
any ideas, and if you have any great suggestions for locations that Devin and I can discuss, I mean, I know already Devin has a few, but if you can think of anything else too. And any suggestions, especially from Ashley, would be great as well, and yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. Devin?
May I have a motion to assign $2,500 to the student art project in the 2019 public art budget?
Jackie is going to move that.
Yes.
And Meg will second. I'll call.
Budget.
Any discussion on that? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Unanimous, passes. Great. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Sorry, I have
Thank
to-
you for
Thank
making
you
all the
here.
work.
You're making it possible for us to move in this direction.
Yeah.
And I think
Thank
that's
you.
great, because it was always
Thank you,
something.
thank you.
Yeah.
That's wanted.
Thank you.
Okay, so now the agenda that I'm apparently bouncing all over the place on.
You're making it help
Not
the
doing,
staff.
not
There you
doing
go.
anything in the order we originally set out.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Let's hear next from Amy on the Squamish Art Committee, Squamish Arts Council Art Camp.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I shouldn't be having this conversation. The whole point of
Can we
open and
carry on?
transparent government is no side conversations.
so we can carry on then?
Yes.
And Amy can weave her magic? Oh, we get a PowerPoint presentation.
I kept it very short because I know how these
Where are we on
topics
the
go.
agenda?
We are on 4,
Oh,
delegations.
okay, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I'm the garish blue one.
The Squamish Public.
Yeah.
Squamish Art Council
Art
Art
camp.
Camp is
Oh.
it's not on your
It's
agenda, this
added.
is one of the
Yeah.
amended items.
Yeah.
Sorry, I snuck in.
Sydney?
Deb and I were just discussing process, as I will be recusing myself from any motion, but I would want to ask the chair whether they prefer I recuse myself during the presentation as well.
No, I'd like for you to stay for the presentation, and then if you feel the need to leave, if we are entertaining motion, then let's have you step out at that time. Go ahead, Amy.
Thanks, everybody, and yeah, I might pick Sydney's brain again because she did this last year and it's new to me. So the Squamish Arts Council has for the past couple of years run the Public Art Camp with the assistance of the Public Art Select Committee, and I'm here again to seek that assistance. So yeah, shall I drive? Sure. Okay, Trevor, right on. So it's a very short presentation. This one? Oh. So the way it's worked in the past, and I assume it'll be sort of similar with this year, is the art camp takes place over several days. The artist who is selected will work with the kids to talk about public art and what it means, and specifically a mural. Everything's mural these days, isn't it? So they will work on ideation, they'll work on the elements of design and how to take an idea from paper and markers all the way up to a finished product. So murals are super hot right now, that's why we keep hearing this word over and over again, and it's a really great way to engage kids, is to take something that's really popular, something that they can see around town, and have them engage with that. I think, sorry, what was the teacher's name from?
Shauna Wagner.
Yeah, she was talking about learning through arts. So this is sort of the same thing. You know, we're teaching the kids about teamwork, we're teaching them about how to think really big and how to use art as a way to express themselves. So. It also, so there we go, after the idea has been turned into a design, the team learns techniques and processes to apply the design to the final surface. So there's a transformation of the public space. I believe that's of the youth center. And so it also serves to beautify our city. And we're very lucky. Squamish is, I think, becoming a little bit of a hotbed for murals, which is really awesome. And so, you know, kids see this as a viable art project and an art piece. And they'll be able to learn how to work within the public realm, which is important. And I think we're seeing a lot of these kind of youth initiatives come through with House on Secondary, and then as we expand to other schools. So this is really in that same vein. And so the Arts Council has seen a lot of success with this program in particular. It seems to sell out every year. It's just enormously successful. So that was the completed project. The artist is Alex Fox, I think is how you say his name? Fox, yeah. Caitlin is making an absolutely hilarious face in this photo. She's there beside him on the left. So yeah.
She's the youth coordinator at the
Youth Center, yeah. So another thing that's really, really cool is that once these kids have completed the project, you know, they're going to be driving by and pointing it out and saying, we did that. And these murals are probably, because they're so durable, going to be staying up for years. And so it really connects them to their communities. And it's like a long-lasting piece. I'm not saying it's as long-lasting as mosaics, you know, but it is something that will last for a while. So that's really exciting. Here, this is a video. Oh, no, how do we go back one?
Yeah, you got it.
And then how do you press play? It's very quick. Oh yeah, it's just a time lapse. Yeah.
Is there any audio?
No. Okay. All right. Yeah. So because there is so much muralization going on around Squamish, we thought it would be really fun too for the kids to be aware of something as exciting as the Squanderer Mural Festival and learn about how one day they can be artists who could maybe, you know, put a mural up in their hometown. We talked about potentially having Stan be the facilitator for our camp. In the past we've had Toby Jackson, we have had Soave, Kiara Douglas, and Alex Fawkes. And so this might be kind of a nice tie between two public art projects. So, next. Oh, we want to watch again. So here's a very small little budget here. So this project is going to be partially funded by the BC Arts Council. And then hopefully the District of Squamish will pitch in some again this year. That'd be awesome. And so our expense breakdown is there. We've got 1,000 for materials, 1,000 for the artist fee, a camp counselor. I realize I spelled that incorrectly. It's not you, John, unless you want to. We found has been instrumental in making these programs a success because the artist really has a lot to do in addition to wrangling kids. So having some help is really helpful. You know, it makes for a successful program. And then marketing as well, talking about you know, putting this on the GIS and having really great photos. We had that discussion today previously. Yeah, so that's my very short presentation.
Devin?
So to clarify, your ask today is $1,000 as the District of Squamish through the Public Art Committee.
I was going to say, it's not a duplicate. Okay, it's through that, okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Amy?
I do, and I just forgot it.
It's what we got last year, wasn't it?
It's a bit more, but
Okay.
yeah.
So is this public art camp something run by the district, or is it a private public art camp? Sorry.
Yeah, so it's run by the Squamish Arts Council.
Okay.
And you know, part of what we really want to do is have accessibility be at the forefront of our programming. So this one will be a free camp.
And remind me of the age group?
I believe it was, what about 9 to 17? Is that sort of what it was last year? 9 to 14.
And sorry, how long is the camp?
It's going to depend on what the artist thinks is appropriate, but last year I believe it ran over 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it strictly focused on the conceptual art, or is there also an element of how do we budget for it? How do we pay for the paint? How do we pay for X, Y, and put that into a budget so that we can create this piece of art? And that's fine if it isn't. Is it strictly focused on the art concept?
So we've got a budget for materials, but that is something that the artist is going to be taking care of. At this point, the kids are going to be focused on sort of the ideation and the design process. But I think, spending all those days together, I think it would be a wonderful thing to discuss with the kids.
Doesn't have to be. I just wondered. They are young, so that's not a criteria. I just wondered if that was an element of the creative process.
Yeah.
Anna?
How many kids get to participate and how are they selected or how do they apply?
Yeah, a great question. So I can't remember how many were in the camp last year, but it's not a huge amount just because it is a lot to manage. So I think looking at the pictures, there was maybe 10 kids in there. Roughly.
How did they get selected?
So one of the camps, sorry, I'll jump in for historical purposes. So one of the camps in 2018 was a paid camp. We ran that in partnership with Brent Park. So that was where families would pay a registration fee and participate. And then we ran the other camp through the youth center in partnership, and that was a free camp. Really anyone who wanted to can just drop in, show up. The youth center is very much about drop-in programs. So it was just open, and the youth center, to support the amount of participants, had their staff there for supervision as well as the artists. So where in the past the Arts Council has ran solely artist focused, where the artist is managing also all the kids, we've kept it under 14 participants, and generally that's been through registration in the past. The Arts Council has also done a scholarship process, and where it awards, if there were to be a fee for a camp, it doesn't sound like this one is, but in the past,
then there's a scholarship process in which youth can apply to get those costs reimbursed for their families if they're in financial need or assistance. So that was another way to sort of say vet, I guess, registrants. I don't know the plans this year for picking registrants, but I imagine it could be either in a drop-in program or registration process.
Yeah, we're thinking about a registration process, and if it fills up extremely quickly, then we might consider running another camp where it is paid, just to meet that need.
Great. Has a location been chosen?
No, but we actually I was speaking with Devin, and we'd like to work together to find a suitable public art location.
Great. Are there any other questions?
Are you getting different kids each year, or is it a lot of the same kids?
I wonder, I'm not sure. Do you think it's different faces every year?
Yeah, between 2017 and 2018, we had, different faces, certainly. There was, I would say, one or two repeats, people who were very familiar with the camps, but I do know, we've had, and actually even in 2016, because we did do another public art camp in 2016, it just looked a little different because we painted pianos instead of wall surfaces, but between all those 3 years, we've had different participants.
So I'm not clear, how is it advertised?
It'll be advertised through social media, postering, sort of the traditional ways. We're going to work with the youth center as well. It won't be specifically a drop-in program there, but we'll be advertising through them and through their channels as well.
Good. Who would like to put a motion on the table?
I'm going to recuse myself for this motion, only because I've been a volunteer at the Arts Council and involved in many programs in previous years. Don't have anything to do with this year's application, but still I would love to recuse myself.
Very good. We'll have somebody come and get you when we're finished the discussion. This doesn't put us into any quorum issues.
No, we're
does it?
fine. I can count it, yeah.
Okay, we're getting a little thin now. Nobody gets sick.
Yeah.
Okay, moved by Meg. Have you got wording on the motion, or are you good with that?
Is it for the full amount of $1,000?
$1,000? Yes.
I can make it up.
That's second by Catherine. Discussion? No discussion?
Suggestions of location? Anybody interested?
Let's get the vote out of the way, and then we can throw 5 cents at that afterwards. Devin?
After the motion.
Okay. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Unanimous. Motion passes.
Thanks, everybody.
Go ahead, Devin.
Um,
Or let's bring Sydney. Sam, will you grab it?
Thanks, He's really earning his keep.
Very useful audience
Right.
member.
I would suggest that the Squamish Arts Council has had a lot of success over the past years working with the artist assigned to the camp to work with us on the location of the art.
Great.
Sorry,
Wow,
You okay?
I need some coffee. So I'm getting there.
That's
So I
good to
would
me.
like to suggest that for future, like when this comes back to us in the future, when we have that contingent of
List.
locations, we can then make our suggestions of
Yeah,
where
great.
we'd like to see them. So
Absolutely.
we get a broader brush across Squamish.
Good. Perfect.
Thank you.
Unless there's any parting thoughts, Meg?
Just because I would love to see a mural on the side of House and Secondary as you actually go down and right by the trail and that. I've looked at that and it's probably not an ideal surface to actually do it, and I know it's involving the school board and all that good kind of stuff, but gee, it would be a nice location to have.
Okay, interesting.
Duly noted.
Thank you, Meg.
Again,
Excellent.
on school property.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. But it is very visible
It's a public,
from the
Yeah.
road kind of thing, and the trails.
All right.
Thanks for the presentation, Amy. Are you going to stick around? Or are you... Okay, perfect.
Change seats.
there you go. You can warm this side of me.
Okay, so I believe that now gets us back on track with the agenda, where we're supposed to be, and an update from Stan on the Squanderer Mural Festival. Thanks for your patience, Stan.
No worries, thanks, Dad. It's all right, I got to speak first last time.
It's all a trade-off.
Oh, yeah.
Hope that doesn't mess with your
Nah,
system.
we're good.
Thanks for letting me come back and chat with you guys. You guys got a lot going on. So I've been really successful. The community's been really excited about what's happening. And this year they all happen to be on Cleveland Avenue, which is really exciting. So, and they're all existing buildings that aren't going to be torn down, which is exciting as well.
That's always very good.
PD, yes. But there's been some curveballs thrown at me, which I brought to the front of the to you guys. So hopefully that's big enough. I tried to keep it simple because I have some photos. We're all aware of Corsa's new location, the new bike shop that's taken over the Fields building. Thank goodness that building is filled with something now.
Yes.
So it's basically like reinvigorated the town. Originally when I moved to Squamish, this was the first mural I did with 3 kids. The BIA funded it. And we saw a need because this place was in the middle of town. It was just an old white moldy stucco wall. And we thought a little color would, sort of invigorate the town a little bit more. Now with Corsa being there, they're obviously a bike shop. And we were, the owner was a little bit just sort of like wanting some, obviously a bike theme. And they, I'm not saying that the Public Art Committee is going to fund this from the Squanderer side. They're actually wanting me to revise the mural, privately funded.
Nice.
So that is one thing I just basically want to put in front of you guys to show that, you guys, Public Art Committee, it's already public, but it's kind of, they want it to be revised. So hopefully the theme is fitting. The owners have seen it. It's obviously going to be colored a little bit more. Those are just outlines, just physically for visual. So that's one issue I figured I would throw at you guys, and we can chat about that at a later point.
Seeking feedback?
Yeah, feedback would be the issue. So monies will be generated privately for this particular revision. There's a second location on the, there's no photo for it, but the west wall, which is on 1.5 Ave, kind of between the Royal Bank and the Corsa new location. It has horrible graffiti, just sort of scribbles on it and some pretty profane things, but the idea is that we kind of piggyback the bicycle theme mural. So they are excited to paint that back area to liven it up. So that's one location, which monies from the Public Art Committee would be allocated for.
Are you interested in me trying to find 1.5 Ave, or do you want to move on?
Let's move on.
Yeah, no, it's
No,
we
that's
can
great.
get back into artists and actual themes when I get the location. Location 2, the Naughty Bird nightclub would love to paint the facade of their entrance. So right now it's just very matte black. So this top and bottom section would be muraled in some respect by a yet determined artist. It's a fair sized wall, but the only challenges would be over top of the awning. So we're probably going to employ some scaffolding or a lift. So yeah, Karina from Naughty Bird has been really excited to do this. What other locations? So location 3 would be the alley behind the House on Brew Pub. So that concrete strip that the cars are in front of. So it's raw concrete, so it'll need to be primed. And then it will also need to be painted by the artist, which is yet to be determined. With a theme, the stakeholders were excited about, beer or, craft or something of that sort of vague nature. So we can all talk about that when I come back with designs, but and then moving on to location 4, which I didn't have a photo because there was a bunch of construction out back of it, but the Common wants to paint a mural on the fence on the Loggers Lane side. So just they have a wood fence that's roughly about 16 by what, 6. A very accessible area, highly trafficked. But just very in the midst of a lot going on and could be advantageous. And then location 5 is another sort of, I got another curveball from these guys. So this is the Crash Hotel Squamish, which is the old Chieftain Hotel location. They have 3 public sides that they would like painted. The side west facing, which is the top photo, they would like painted as well, the first side where the stairs are there. And then, yeah, that's west. And then the south side, which is just below it, underneath the hotel there, the hotel sign.
This?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like basically the 3 sides of the building, which is really exciting. And then on the front facade, they've commissioned me to paint the smaller section on the, yes, right in there. So that will be privately funded from them. I'm currently painting a hotel room in there right now, which I have to go do after this meeting.
All those walls will be privately funded?
No, just the last one. They just wanted me to paint the outside. So I wanted to bring that forth to tell you guys. We haven't nailed down a theme, but I wanted to bring it forth because you guys were interested in the surfaces. So it's a little bit piggybacking on the Mural Festival, but as I've been kind of kicking tires, people have been wanting to do more with less. So it's been a lot more exciting than the last few years. So so that's short and sweet of where I'm at with this. I'm about to put out a call. I've been collecting email addresses from the websites and Facebook where I've just notified people as publicly as I can. I'd also like to put an ad in like the paper, which I'm going to do, just so it's more in the public realm, so it's not so in sort of like a smaller group context. I'd like to, put the word out. And then by that, after that point, I would come back to you guys with themes that are submitted for surfaces after discussing with the stakeholders which would be applicable, and then we would move forward on that.
Okay, great. Peter, and then I'm going to Devin. Yeah.
So number 4 is my property. So I might have to recuse myself, I guess. I'm not too sure, that's why I was asking for.
Do you own the property?
No.
And is there going to be a motion for this?
Probably not.
Question?
I can't tell what that meant. Got it.
Yeah.
Declares.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a motion put forth,
that's
then
fine. And then the
you
other
should declare.
The only point is on the other part. So do I give feedback and click it or just that? Or?
What's?
So there's
say
5
that
things to talk about there.
Yes.
And so do I recuse myself the entire discussion? Or?
I would say limit your comments to the 4 other locations.
Yeah.
Restrict from your property, and if a motion comes forward, you need to stand up publicly and declare why it's a conflict, and then spend some time in the lobby.
I can come get you.
He knows where it is.
Yeah.
Stan's got the drill
Yeah.
down completely. Okay, so let's start at number 5
Okay.
and work our way backwards if that's.
And I just wanted to offer that the district can support the marketing efforts of the Squanderers Music Festival by putting
Like an ad.
in our
Okay.
newspaper, in our newsletter,
Mhm.
and weekly updates and things
Yes,
like
like
that.
those emails.
Yeah,
That'd be fantastic.
And you can coordinate with Stan on that?
absolutely.
Okay, great. So what feedback do you want or need from us on number 5?
More or less that you guys are okay with me getting private funding for the east wall. The Mural Festival will be allocating the south wall and the west wall from monies from this committee, and that everybody's okay with that. And at the next meeting, I will be coming back with potential designs and sort of timelines.
Okay, thoughts? Catherine?
Only that those two plus Naughty Burl, which is basically the same complex, is a lot, it's all one space. I have no personal objection to the idea of it being like a full rainbow, and it'll be really interesting, but I just wanted to, were there other interested parties in terms of the festival, or this was just sewn up pretty fast because they...
To be honest, it's been a, if anybody's paying attention kind of thing. There's a lot going on, and I haven't really gotten a lot of
feedback,
yeah,
but they jumped on it.
Yeah, there were certain people that you could tell were very interested,
For sure.
and then there were other people that had to kind of jump through hoops, and considering timelines and meetings, I wanted to make sure that this was a timely process and that all the dialogue was...
I just want to make sure that later this year, we're not going to be getting somebody saying, yeah, but it went to all of them.
Yeah.
That
Right.
all the money went to this one place, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, okay, well...
I just wanted to understand, based on Catherine's question too, is then how did you go out and get these 5? Did you advertise? Did you?
I basically just walked around Squamish with my phone, with the website, just chatting with people, following up connections, possible interest from third-party word of mouth. It hasn't really been a advertising aspect. It's more or less a, I foresee a need downtown to add more color.
Mm-hmm.
You can see this building is gray, which 8 months of the year, it's gray.
So you focused on downtown?
Yeah, in the original few years, it's been, I just saw a need for downtown. I would love the whole town to be on board.
No, I just wanted to understand what you were at.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Peter and then Devin.
For clarification, so we're aware, this building as well is actually the same property owner, correct?
I believe so.
So it's a company who just purchased this building, and so it's actually, if there was, the way I interpret it is that it's one owner of the building that's getting the benefit from 2 murals, which is a bit challenging on my side. And the second part, which would lean towards the Naughty Burl's application, is that I've always seen murals as a beautification for alleyways and spaces that need a bit more colour, and maybe even Cindy will talk about the discussion we had at the Solterra thing and some of the reasons behind that and how that building application went forward. So for me that's the 2 points, and then if I put my BIA hat on, I would actually probably would want to go to the members to say, hey, how do you feel about a mural on downtown Cleveland Avenue, because that's a pretty bold thing, and it's a question where is it suitable? So I think that'd be my feedback.
It's literally on my list. Location number 1 had approvals from DOS and BIA, so that's my next meeting, so yet to be determined.
Devin.
Once again, I've forgotten what I was going to say, but I feel like there may be a role to play in the planning department, having worked with the owner on the purchase and upgrades of the existing facade. So I don't know if there's anything in our policies and procedures. I'm going to get with planning on that.
Okay.
Second, I just wanted to offer the committee that the OCP in the past has focused on downtown as the hub of the community and focused on that. So yes, that lens has absolutely been applied to the downtown, and that's not to say it's not warranted in north through south community hubs across Squamish. I just wanted to offer that background.
Okay, great.
Again, the IA had, that's one of our mandates and focus. That's why that committee would be excited about this, and anything on those 3 streets is great for downtown merchants. So that's
Anna?
So Devin, does that background you just gave us mean that this is within the OCP, it's okay to concentrate all this art downtown?
I think so. I will go back and review language, but I believe that I believe that that yes. I'll stop talking.
And just to put it out there, I'm by no means trying to like just isolate downtown. It just sort of has been a focus, and being on the VIA for a number of years, and then also on the Arts Council for a number of years, downtown has always kind of been a
priority.
Yeah, and it's just kind of needed some extra help, and we're all helping where we can, and I just saw a need for more color. So if there are other locations up, say, by Garibaldi Highlands or 6th Avenue or something, like, I'm more than happy to discuss with people, so just so that's said.
There are actually other locations, and we talked about them at the ADP, where there are blank walls that could be tagged and become zones of less savory activities. So it would be nice to beautify those other areas too.
Perfect.
Okay, Meg?
Is there a list of those?
I wish there was.
Maybe it's something that you can think about, because it would be really cool just in terms of starting to get location lists, private property, public property, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's on my wish list.
And I just wanted to say to Stan too, thank you very much, huge, engaging with the private owners and that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, it's been challenging. I mean, the first year, everybody kind of was very close-minded about it, but I mean, as paint is on walls, there's a little bit more traction, and by not being I've been very selfless with the whole just trying to get the project going, because it's been an uphill battle, but this year seems to have a lot more going for it.
It does, and your efforts are appreciated.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sydney?
I just want to quickly say on the note of concentrating mural locations that other successful city mural festivals have chosen to also concentrate, and it just seems to be a really great way to get a mural festival going, and if it expands out, awesome. But I know we all know the Vancouver Mural Festival and how it's concentrating certain areas, so there is some merit to that approach.
Good. I'm comfortable with you taking on the one wall, and then the festival, the other two walls, and Naughty Burl. Yeah, it's a concentration of murals in one building, but I think this is the kind of building that can warrant that level of art on it.
Yeah, they've really put their sort of nose to the grindstone, so to speak, and really they've done a huge renovation in this. So I think it's and because it's so central in the core of downtown, I think it works well for everyone.
And it works well with what I understand their marketing and branding is for this new venture.
Exactly.
In the community. And I'm also cognizant of, we might get the pushback of, well, why does that building get that level of attention? And quite frankly, I'm prepared to take that on.
Perfect.
It's art, and it should be on buildings. It works for me.
Totally.
Kevin?
And also, having seen other places like Camden Town in London take on sort of public art on stores and shop fronts and buildings like this. If it becomes three or four artists in one space, I think that's kind of like it's like an ignition. It's like a touch paper. It will get those people who may be on the fence right now. It'll get at least some of them off the fence.
Exactly.
And for the future, that's the thing I like about it being in one spot. Some places like Camden Town is totally known for this now, and there are other places like that too.
Well, and then the pushback can be, well, if you'd like some art on your building, then step up.
Yeah, exactly.
Step up.
Get involved.
Well, yes, and what I found is it's getting easier and easier to get people to listen. It's because things are actually happening. Because it was very abstract before, but now there's a physical finality to it, and then there's a little more of a process now. It's not very as ad hoc, and thank you for keeping me reined in.
Right. Let's move on to number 4 then.
It's me? Okay. Just want to mention for clarity in the public record that this was a project that I'd done before even coming on the council, so this wasn't, otherwise I think I'd look a bit awkward that I was like, oh great, I'll jump in there. And then I did talk to Stan about budgets and that side, so I'll let him talk about it.
Thoughts, feedback on the back fence?
Is it a wood fence?
I'm just gonna try and find it.
I mean,
Like a good slat, or-
yeah, it's basically like if you were to go to Home Depot and buy a 6-foot section of a fence you were replacing, it's
Okay.
essentially that. It's like very simple. It'll need to be primed. I believe it's cedar, but it's very accessible. So someone that's afraid of heights or is smaller and doesn't want to get a ladder, I mean, you can, or kids perhaps, but it's on a road, so it's a high traffic area, and because of the construction, it poses some challenges. So there will be a lot of signage and cones and things like that where people know what's happening.
Is that Lover's Lane?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's right adjacent to his parking. I
Yeah,
was gonna say
that one right
Google
there.
Street View. Good, nice.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, a little bit south.
To the south.
Yeah. Other
Because that's
south.
Anna's.
Other south.
Other shows.
Tough crowd.
This is crazy. There's no buildings. Where are all the buildings on the left?
Wow, this was
A few years ago, yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Right
there you go.
Oh,
Perfect.
right,
I should have looked on Google. Yeah, so that's essentially it. Primed, and then it's high traffic, so ideally it would be something that is not too complicated because it'll have drive-by traffic, but something that just sort of adds some color to the area.
Now, is that privately funded or partially privately?
No, this would all be from the Public Art Committee,
Okay.
because the artist is yet to be determined and the theme would be decided with the stakeholder on the landlord or the building owner. So we would then figure out which artist we would like to paint on that location, and then we would come back with you guys and discuss that.
Okay, any more thoughts? I'm 2 thumbs up on this one, love it.
I think it would spur other people to want art along that whole run. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like Loggers Lane because it's kind of raw and a little edgy, but I think those areas with color have a real great communication value to the community.
Okay, let's go to number 3. Sid, will you pop out and get Peter back in, please?
Yeah, Dave Fenn was pretty excited. He's the owner of the House Embry. He's just excited to see it with some color. And yeah, so it's the west-facing alley
Oh, yes.
behind the SD48 building. So right in there. Increasingly going to be more high traffic because of the new development of the main right there. So there's going to be more concrete and more cars going up and down there. So yeah.
And this is just the concrete portion down
Just the
bottom,
gray area below that red strip where you kind of, most of those cars are covering it. But yeah, it'll all be primed and painted.
I think this one too is a perfect candidate. Sid, go ahead.
Is there potential to carry it onto the columns that are close by?
Yeah, I didn't have a photo of that. It was, there's one column that's been just sort of scribbled on with spray paint, and yeah, the owner's pretty excited, and we're also gonna turn part of it into like a little dog park area because there's some sort of like, we're gonna reclaim some private space, so yeah.
So would the owners maintain these?
Ideally, it would be maintained by the owners. It's all going to be either spray paint or acrylic latex, so all the color swatches and all of the actual colors will be documented so we can cover them up if need be.
I was going to say, and are you using the kind of paint that resists tagging?
I would love to, if the budget permitted,
Yeah.
but no.
Just asking.
No, fair enough, yeah, just to be clear.
Anything else on number 3? Okay, let's go to 2. I think we kind of already covered this one, but are there any thoughts on this one specifically?
But I have a quick question for Stan. You haven't had any problems with tagging on the ones you've made so far, have you?
No, actually it's been great.
think so.
Yeah, there's been a lot of positive feedback, a lot of photos, which I think is really great, because it then asks people where they are, what are they doing, so it's good marketing.
Peter, and then Amy?
One of the comments actually when we were in the Soave meeting, they did discuss how that they were surprised that any piece of public art that they put up on their buildings and funded that it doesn't get touched luckily, it's
Yeah.
where it's right next door, that building could be tagged, but if that piece of art's in it, it doesn't.
Amy?
I know that on the Flamingo mural, the Squanderer Mural Festival is acknowledged. I'm wondering what the committee feels about any kind of acknowledgement on these pieces from the Public Art Committee. Is it necessary?
Yeah, it's a good thought. And am I correct? The mural with the orcas behind Saha, does that have some acknowledgement of the Public Art Committee? I think it does.
I believe she did. I know she put the Squanderer Mural Festival. I'll look it up. I definitely acknowledge you guys on the website.
And I'm sure there's a mural somewhere
Yeah,
in this town that
It would be-
acknowledges public art. 'Cause
It would be helpful.
Yeah, no,
I
definitely.
was struck by it when I saw it, unless
So it
I'm
would
making
be
all
nice
this
if
up.
all of these were acknowledged then.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's a general challenge for some of the pieces of
Yeah.
art. So like the salmon that we first did, there are no plaques by
Yeah.
any of them saying who the artist was, and there's nothing saying that this is a Public Art Committee project. And we should look at that at some
And
point.
the date.
And
Yeah.
the date, yeah, which was 3 years ago.
Stan, sorry to interrupt, what's the date she finished it? Because I was there when she finished it and took a photo, so I might be fine if you remember the date. No, okay.
Sydney.
August, September.
Okay.
Just to offer up an idea with regards to that thought, if you're to make a stencil, then you could just have it consistent and give it to all the artists,
Mhm.
something like size of a sheet of paper.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's.
That would be great.
Use our eye,
Yeah.
our creator's eye.
Okay, great. Can we go to location number 1?
So I don't have a photo, but it would be the west wall. Google might be hard on this one. It's in
Yeah.
the center. I may.
A shot though.
Essentially, it's a fairly large surface. It's about, I think it's about 40 feet.
There's Junction.
Yeah, yeah, right. Where's Waldo?
It's the one 38123. It's now at the top, the very top, partially in the frame.
Right,
Ah,
right,
Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
totally.
I was on the wrong street, thank you. So we're trying to get like,
Right here.
yeah. Let's see what happens.
There probably isn't a Google Street View of it. I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, it's kind of an alley. Yeah, exactly. But to be, just to speak to the location, the existing mural that's there is,
Super helpful. Yeah, so it's like right here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No?
No, let's do that.
I can come back with a photo at a later date, but just to speak to the area, it's a similar surface, it's stucco, it's really tricky to paint with a brush, so hopefully, and so spray paint will probably be the most effective way to paint it, and timely. A little bit more expensive, but, so, of course I would like to see a bicycle theme, it being a bike shop, so I think the artist can get behind that, there's a lot of creative ways that could be approached. And then the existing mural, they'd love to see revised by myself because I originally painted it with kids. The funding came from the BIA, which I'm also going to have a meeting with them in order to make sure that I get their blessing, for lack of a better word, yeah.
Great. So the south-facing wall will be funded by
Yes.
folks at Corsa?
Yes,
And
or
then
or private monies, yeah.
Our
yeah.
program would fund the west-facing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
opposite the last year's mural of the sound and the orcas and the eagles.
Catherine?
Oh, just, I was just thinking, this is the second time, of course, has been involved one way or the other with one of our projects because the salmon downtown was in front of their old store, or is still there. I don't know what's moved, has anything moved in there? I haven't noticed.
I don't think
still
they're,
there.
yeah, I
They're still there.
think they're still shuttling back and forth.
They're in the
Okay.
process of moving.
Okay, yeah.
So anything further on this one? Okay, great. Stan, does that accomplish what you wanted out of tonight?
Yeah, I just basically wanted to have the dialogue of the update of the surfaces that I'm working towards, that you guys are okay with it, it's within the scope of the art committee, and that we can move forward to the next step of me coming back with selected artists and themes and approvals.
Okay, perfect. Anna, or sorry, Amy.
Does the committee want to be this involved with Stan's festival, or do you guys just want to say, Stan, we trust you, let it run, or do you want to approve each building?
Meg.
The only thing I would hate to say is, I would hate to say a bicycle theme, not only on Corsa, but on all the other buildings around too.
Yeah.
And I just really do think we need to go for some diversity, it's not, so
Yeah.
how we deal with that, I don't know.
Well, in jurying other pieces, as Devin, you said, we get to jury other, like the house sound. I think, given that we're giving the money, we like some oversight.
100%.
So that we don't see the same theme all around town.
Yeah, and we all want to see ROI on our investment of time and money, and
Yeah.
I think that it's really important to have the communication with the murals, because that's essentially what they're there for. It's a visual communication of a community's values, so yeah, through an artistic eye. So I think that's where we all stand.
Okay, any other thoughts? Nope, perfect. Stan, thank you.
So are you coming back?
Yeah, so next meeting in June, we're in May now, I'll come back with artists shortlisted and themes that that artist has applied to a certain location.
Thank you for coming.
Great.
Cheers.
Thanks for the update, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Awesome, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Very good. And so that will take us next to the advisory design panel update. And I'm noting that we're coming up on 10 to 9. So, yeah, great. Thanks, Jackie. Go ahead.
So we had two pieces come to us at the design committee last month. I talked to John about it. We seem a little out of step, but I think we're going to be more in step as we move forward. One of them is a downtown building that looks like this. And I was thrilled to see this because they're using the building structure, the modular elements of this building to create art. And I said, thank you for doing that. It's very modular. And there were some suggestions around it, and I'll pass this around.
What's the intersection so we can orient on where it is?
It's 2nd Avenue and, sorry, and Victoria.
I'll pull up the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Naughty Book.
No.
So when she passes it around, you'll get a better idea
So,
of the location.
In the back of this building is a big white piece in the alleyway, a big white mural just waiting to be painted. And I suggested so there's the modular design of the building that gives you an artistic element, so I was really glad for that. But in the back, you can sort of see it there. And I think there's another piece, another large piece. Yeah. In the back alleyway, which then actually backs onto the health center. I think that's what it backs onto.
No.
The big tall building?
Yeah, yeah.
Cornerstone.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's behind Cornerstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I was thinking. the
So
one
this
that
space
sits
is on
above.
2nd,
Yeah.
and then the big tall building.
Okay.
And they will be almost equal in height, 6 feet. But the back alley was the area that I really recommended to the builders and the group, that they invite mural artists to paint that so it doesn't get tagged. It creates pride of place, it doesn't become a dumping ground, it doesn't become, an area that is tagged, and also lighting in that area. So that was one area that I really recommended that it be painted. It's a private building, but it's also got this whole floor, street level area is all commercial. The front space will be in the front corner right at 2nd Avenue and Victoria. will be a public corner. There was some discussion as to how much of it will remain in the public realm, so that was just that. But I'll pass this around
Here, that's
Okay.
to anyone.
So, just to further orient you, this is the empty lot that borders Cornerstone Building and Parkside Dental
Right,
to the south.
right.
Yeah.
They tried to make it a paid parking lot a bunch of years ago, and that didn't work out
It did.
too well.
Yeah, and it's a blank space right now. So it will be the first building to really animate Second Avenue, and hopefully it will set the standard for that whole avenue to create color and motion. It was very exciting to see how they're using the modularity of the building to create an artistic, visually appealing building as opposed to the slabs that have gone up. But again, I recommended that back area be open to being painted.
So just a couple more quick tidbits. They're calling it the Aegean,
Thank you.
and it's 6 stories that are proposed.
Yes.
With commercial on the bottom and is residential?
Residential up above, the 5 stories above.
So it's called a mixed-use
It is.
development. Well, I think that's all the relevant information tidbits.
So the reason why I recommended that back area particularly because it's white, 1, and 2, it's an entranceway for the parkade, and 2, it's also the area where garbage and things get put. But I still think you can create pride of place and it doesn't become a dumping ground. And it also then it becomes a socially strong place where, activities that are more positive will occur versus negative activities. Question?
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, just looking at the schematic here, as I understand the parkade entrance, you never know how much the 3D modelling is accurate,
Yeah.
but there is no wall on the ground floor apart from a cornerstone side, or did they say there is? Because I'm just
So-
wondering,
Sorry,
is that an accurate depiction?
that's wall right there. That whole white space.
Oh, high up.
It's not that high up.
Oh.
It's lower than you think it is.
Oh, it's not above the cars, so the cars that are driving in the water above that.
It's above, just above where the cars are.
Okay,
So,
like
but
8
it's
feet above the ground level.
approximately.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's still prone to being defaced.
Got you.
As we know, because the next building over
Yeah.
has been in that alleyway, has
Yeah.
been tagged and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff, so.
so,
Yeah, I think setting the model for that area would be great.
yeah.
I agree.
Yes, there's the parkade just coming in.
Yeah.
So again, I emphasize that the Public Art Committee would be very thrilled if that became a piece of art and public art. So I
Okay.
can move on to the next piece.
Next one, please.
The next one is up in the business district. It's next to it's on Midway Avenue, which is a cul-de-sac. It's a building that's going in. The south-facing wall, which is down here, at this, I think it faces on, they didn't give us a lot of orientation on it, but it faces onto the scrapyard, I believe.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah. Yeah. So is that south facing?
So this is north.
Yeah.
The top of the page is north, the bottom of the page is south.
South.
Yeah.
So what's the building to the south?
So this is Miller Capilano.
Oh, right, okay. So again, a blank wall, and there's gonna be a grassy space along there. And so again, I recommended that blank white wall that is going to be there be painted, to again, avoid it becoming a dumping ground. Because that was one of the comments from some of the designers around the table, that could easily become a dumping ground, so they suggested more landscaping in that area. But also the wall is a big blank wall, white wall. So again, I recommended artistic elements go onto it, or artists be invited to paint it to create pride of place, so it doesn't become a tagging spot.
So this is actually 2 buildings.
Yes.
on
So the
this lot.
southernmost building along that Miller Cap line.
This is indicating.
Am I on the wrong property?
Yeah, 38924 Midway, which is across the street from Miller Cap. It's currently
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
It's that, yeah, sorry, it's that.
Got it,
one.
okay.
Yeah.
Is this I1? Oh, yeah, so.
So the building to
Yeah,
the.
I1.
Building to the south of it, 38922, what is that?
Okay,
That is
That's the
a
mechanics.
truck, heavy
Yeah.
duty
Yeah.
mechanic
Yeah.
place.
So again,
And
creating,
there's like a log house operation
Yeah.
that's on that lot
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, right
so
there.
again, creating more visual appeal in a industrial space. I don't think anybody on this committee would disagree with me, I hope, that creating more visual appeal in an industrial space is a good thing.
Business space.
Yeah, but it
No,
is
this
a light
this
industry
This is
space.
industrial.
Sorry, what business is that going to be?
To be honest, what does it say?
Well, so what's permitted in the zoning is light industrial uses such as automobile-oriented commercial, heavy equipment sales, motor vehicle repair shops, fitness studio, restaurant to a maximum of 50 seats, and alcohol beverage manufacturing.
Yeah.
Peter?
That zoning is going to change, so they're stripping out everything, so it'll only be light industrial level.
Yeah,
But that's the zoning now.
that's
So
the current
that's,
zoning.
that's what we're dealing with now.
Are you talking about future zoning?
I would have to draw on the expertise of my planning department colleagues.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
So the
outside-
current zoning
The
is.
current's what's
zoning,
important, and
yeah.
any future discussion is
Oh,
really relevant to this
Yeah.
because of the existing zoning.
So, and that's what these buildings are being proposed, it's the current zoning. So, they're gonna come back and give us more detail about the orientation of this space, but that was the piece I suggested that they, sent it around this way.
And was there one more, or is that?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you for the update. So Devin, I think you're next, right? Staff update?
Right on. Okay. I think that you guys have probably stared at the budget enough this evening.
Yeah, so we probably don't need to spend a ton of time.
So we've made, again, some moves today, so that's great. I'll put those in and know that you're still doing well, and that if you're not doing well, you will hear from me.
We're running into the red line.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know why that line turned red right now. It's not supposed to be red. So but so ironic that you said the red line, but yeah, no, you're not in the red line. Staff are running into capacity right now in terms of dealing with the mosaic, I'll be honest. The planner, Elaine, and I have gone down to the ops yard. We would have brought you guys to the ops yard, but there's apparently a liability thing there in terms of inviting public onto it while it's in operation. So we'll be in touch. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your work.
You can only do what you can do.
Yeah.
Working within the parameters.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We've got time. We've got budget.
We still have the
Yes,
applications
yes,
for
yeah. The motion, yeah.
Just,
We do.
Yeah, the motion for the library.
yeah.
Thank you.
Let's tackle that now. So, the request from the library was that we fund 1,000, no,
No, it's up on the screen.
thank you, that we fund $4,000 to the interior mural project. So I'll entertain a motion to
Devin?
fund that project.
Show us how that affects our budget,
Absolutely.
please. Thank you. So that's 4,000 off 18.5?
Yeah, so you'll go up to 22.5.
Up or down?
You will have spent,
Oh.
if you decide to fund the $4,000, you will have spent 22,500,
Okay.
therefore still within the bucket that annually you're allotted.
And I don't quite understand, did Mamquam pass?
Mamquam passed.
Okay, so that should be added too.
Yeah,
Oh,
I just haven't, yeah.
Well, the arts camp was up there, so I wasn't sure what was.
And even with everything
Understand
in
why.
from earlier tonight, we're still well within
Yeah.
our amount. Sydney, go ahead.
I just wanted to also note we should put up has competition up there too.
Oh, yes.
But I will put the motion that we support the library project.
Thank you.
I will so move
Thank you.
That was
To the amount of $4,000?
$4,000.
Okay, great. Seconded by Jackie. Discussion?
Did we ask her to come back with design or anything like that?
You can,
No, we
you
didn't.
can
Okay.
absolutely put that in your motion.
Do we
And
want
I-
that?
And I can communicate that, no problem.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
You know,
Honestly, the library has done a really good job so
Okay.
far of what that. and so-
Curating?
Of curating that, so.
I think we can leave that
That's
in the
fine.
hands
Just
of
thought I'd throw it
staff.
out there
Yeah, I think
in
it's
case
a
anybody's
good
having,
question.
I'm fine with it,
Okay.
but I didn't want to assume.
Good, then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Unanimous, motion passes. Okay, so that takes us to number 6, council, status of recommendations to council. At the last regular meeting of council on April the 16th, council passed a motion that read that staff work with Curtis Soave on the delivery of an artistic abstract crosswalk at 2nd Avenue and Main Street to the amount of $2,000 to be funded from the Public Art Committee. That passed unanimously. And then our motion for Stan's project, we edited it slightly, and it passed that the Public Art Committee support the Squanderer Mural Festival to the amount of $10,000, $5,000 on May 1st, with the remaining $5,000 being issued upon the successful completion of the 5 murals in the public realm around Squamish to be funded from the Public Art Committee budget. Our original motion just said $10,000, and upon reflection, we thought it was a good idea to split it 5 up front and then 5 when it's done. Just adds a little bit of accountability to the process.
That won't harm them, will it? From
No,
Okay.
Stan didn't have any
Okay.
objection and no concern.
Didn't want it to be
on
a hindrance.
There are no referrals from council, we have no correspondence, and that will take us to roundtable, and I would invite Peter and Sydney to give us an update on the Solterra project that you've been focused on.
Essentially, it's just very briefly, because we're all familiar, they came and presented, they outlined the scope and the plan. So we met on Tuesday of this week. Each panelist that was there nominated 3 to 5 artists each. So that panel or committee discussed those artist options and came to a decision on reaching out to some candidates. And so Solterra will be reaching out to those candidates now. And then we'll be meeting again either in June or July to hear proposals from chosen candidates.
Okay, great. Jackie?
Could you put the Solterra project in context? Is it the company Solterra, and are they choosing artists for their buildings? What?
Yes, sorry. So Solterra is doing development on Cleveland Avenue, across from the House on Blue Club and the Studio SQ building. And the part of their building backing onto Loggers Lane will have opportunity for public art in which they have committed $100,000 to. And so this selection panel is chosen to help commission that artwork.
So you're from, you know which building, which
Yeah,
lots?
is this the one where the signs that they're
Yeah, they
gonna-
came to us and presented
Yeah,
a few months ago.
That's right, and they came to ADP as well.
Yes,
So I'm
that's
just
right.
connecting the dots.
You got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, now I
Good.
know which one you're talking about.
Anna?
I'm just wondering if there was any discussion about Chili Tom's art you know, on there?
We discussed a lot of things, including the original artwork that was on their site, on the Pac West site previously, and yeah, so there's a lot of things discussed in those meetings. We're going to, for the sake of keeping privacy of the people who are nominated, we'll discuss further when, I guess, the candidates are chosen.
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Good. Does anybody have anything else for the roundtable discussion? Meg?
I just wanted to say a huge thank you to staff, to committee members, to the chair. I have been 2 years on this committee, and this is my last day, so I'm not going to be continuing because I have other commitments at the moment. So I just wanted to say a huge thanks, and you're doing great work, and it's really important, and I hope at some time maybe I can drop back in, but right now life is just ramping up and it's too crazy in other directions.
And I want to thank Meg because I kind of, her joining came out of a long discussion we had on Facebook. I was like, come on, join.
Doesn't take much.
The mosaic, come on. Yeah, it was so awesome to have her history, knowledge, and passion back with us. So it was great. Thank you.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say thank you for all that you've done, and I hope we can still tap your wealth of
I'm
knowledge.
still around, yeah. It's just it's moving to trails and signage
Yes.
and those kinds of things, and I do have to put some time in that.
Well, I thank you also, not just for your service to this committee, but the community at large for many
You'll
years.
still be seeing me.
And since she lives across from all of the murals that are going to be put up this year, if she doesn't like them, I'm sure we'll hear about it.
Should be tagging them at 2 in the morning.
Don't give me that idea.
Great. Is there any other discussion for round?
The only other question I have is, Sydney, are you going to be able to get to the meeting that they're having? Are they having it tomorrow in terms of location with the Squamish school, that kind of stuff? Is that happening, or that's, we don't?
Let's chat about that. Let's,
Take that
I'm
offline.
just
Yeah.
hoping that Sydney will be able to do that because I won't be there.
and I can't be in attendance either.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and you weren't on the list.
You all can take that offline. Jackie?
So in terms of the motions that have come forward at this meeting, do they go to the next council meeting in term, I'm just understanding process?
That's correct.
And when is that? Oh, they don't.
The minutes won't be ready for the next council meeting unless it can work a miracle tomorrow. So they'll be going to the following one.
Which is when?
The
Which
third
is the
Tuesday
Yeah.
in May.
Okay.
So they'll
And
be.
will that be timely enough for some of the projects that we've had come before us?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Just checking. Okay.
I don't think
The
there'll be-
cogs of municipal finance don't work as quickly as,
Mm-hmm.
there's still
There's the speed of business.
Yes,
And there's the
speed of finance.
public.
Yes, I know. Believe me. My son's a good one. I just wanted to be sure that we're not promising people things that we can't fulfill in their timelines.
I don't think there will be any
Okay.
issues there. Yeah.
Just checking.
Good. Then, unless there's
So
anything else. Yeah. So what Meg is moving is
The adjournment.
that the meeting be terminated. Do we have a seconder? Catherine? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.